Good evening and welcome to Malvern, Pennsylvania. It is time for Berks Catholic and Malvern Prep. Kevin Fodinger, Mike Mataraki, and Chris Markowitz, your broadcast team tonight for what is the fourth game of the season for the Malvern Prep Friars, trying to stay undefeated, and this should be an exciting football game. This is a team that has been a perennial power in Berks Catholic, coming out of Reading. They've been the District 3 champion the last couple of seasons. 63-7, their record over the past 5 years. That is the best 5-year record in Berks area football history. So they've got a lot of power, and we'll see a lot of the run game tonight. Mike, I will welcome you into the broadcast here. I know you've got the numbers in terms of ranks, just to furthermore expound upon this matchup. You look at Malvern Prep, and they are a team that is number 3 in Southeast Pennsylvania by the Philly Inquirer, behind number 1 St. Joe's Prep and number 2 Coatesville. And as a Malvern fan, you know all about the talent of this football team under head coach Dave Guerrera. Guerrera in his second season, and he will be countered tonight by the head coach of Berks Catholic, that is Rick Keeley. And Keeley, boy, this is quite an opposite. Second season for Guerrera, 33rd season for Keeley, just over 375 games coached. That is the most at Berks. Mike, ranking time, let's go.
Absolutely, and we know that Berks Catholic came into this season with a 6-year record of 63-6, and this season they're off to a 3-1 start against some real tough competition. This one is going to be a dandy.
Berks is going to receive the opening kickoff to get us underway under the lights at the Pellegrini Athletic Complex. And the kick off the boot of Constantini is on the way. As fair catch by the up man and a hit. And the flags will fly early on. They're going to call a late hit because of the whistle. They didn't stop it soon enough. I would have blown the whistle sooner. He did make the fair catch signal.
That's a tough one.
And the Friars on the fair catch. There is a flag on the play.
It looked like Kellen Mathias for Malvern Prep was hustling down to make a play and just couldn't stop his momentum. He actually tried to hold the receiver up as he was making the hit, but a little too hard, too fast, and Malvern Prep's going to get tagged with 15 right out of the gate.
The return game will be something to watch for Berks tonight, that's for sure, as they had 3 special teams touchdowns against Boyertown last week.
Delay of game against the Saints.
So there's a delay of game penalty against Berks Catholic.
Holding against Malvern.
Kevin, I think our returns and locals are backwards. Every time you turn yourself down, you turn your media, and you have to go the other way.
And so we're going to see the Saints. First of their offense, they are the running attack, as we mentioned, at the open. They average around 245 yards per game on the ground through their first 4 games, just around 75 through the air, but they do have an experienced quarterback. Those are both Catholic, and Terrence Durr, 6'2", 190-pound senior. And he's a 4-year starter.
Interesting exchange there, Kevin. You had the personal foul on the kickoff and then a delay of game, so you marched one way and then the other. All of that leads to a 1st and 10 on the call it the 24-yard line.
And Luis Garcia is wrapped up there at the line. Hussey with the tackle. And Mike, that's going to be a big focus tonight, is how Malvern handles that run game.
Well, Berks Catholic certainly does have a potent running attack. 4 games into the season, they have 2 ball carriers with in excess of 250 yards rushing and a third who's approaching triple digits.
They also have a pit commit to the Saints. That would be Brandon George. He's a middle linebacker that we'll call tonight a lot. He makes a lot of tackles. Here's a run again, pounding down the left sideline. And this is Roberts, who's down the sideline. McGuire giving chase. He won't get there. That is George, actually. And he is into the end zone. Touchdown, Saints. They are on the board, and we have yet another early score for a Malvern opponent.
And if Brandon George looked like an NFL linebacker running down the field, he goes 6'4", 240 pounds, and when he gets the momentum going, there's not much that can stop him. And he came around the corner, got a block, got to the sideline, and he was gone, Kevin.
Extra point attempts. Everything's okay, and it is good off the foot of Jamin Smith. So 7-0 is our score, 11:06 to play in the first. Berks Catholic in the lead.
And Kevin, this is now the second consecutive home game for Malvern Prep where we've seen the opponents come out, go to one of their studs right out of the gate. First series, big play, and Malvern Prep's going to fight from behind once again this evening. The key here will be to see how Dave Guerrera, Drew Gunter, and this Malvern Prep offense can counterpunch.
40-second drive, 2 plays, 79 yards. The 78-yard touchdown run by George. Kick is good. And as you see, 7-0, Berks in front. Go back to 2 weeks ago, LaSalle had a 60-plus yard bomb play on the first play of the game. It was really a weird start to this game, though, to be honest, with the flags thrown on the opening kick. And Malvern will get their first opportunity to possess the ball on offense. It is Alani White. White bringing it out. Across the 20, now to the far side of the field, across the 30, getting some space, and he's ripped out of bounds at the 35 after a great return for Malvern Prep.
And Kevin, it looked like he had one man to beat. If he would have gotten that corner, there was a lot of real estate in front of Lonnie.
First and 10 from the 33-yard line.
So Malvern will set up shop on the 33-yard line. We'll get our first look tonight at Drew Gunter. Gunter's been having a nice season so far. In the pass perspective, 707 yards and 6 touchdowns for Gunter so far.
Oh, in 3 games? That's all?
I'll tell you, it's a lot more than what Berks has thrown for.
For sure.
As we've seen already, they're 2 long runs on the first series. Bobbled and dropped, and Gunter falls on top of it. And Mike, we were talking with Chris in the pregame. That's one of the things that Malvern has been working with this season, slow starts. They started slow against Roman, LaSalle, McDonough. That was tied at halftime before they really turned things on last week in the second. And again, we're seeing a slow start.
Absolutely, Chris. It's almost like a prize fighter who has to go through a couple of rounds and get punched in the mouth a couple times to really wake up and get their feet under them.
This is going to be the handoff to Nick Guerrera, outside left tackle, and he's stopped at the line of scrimmage. Guerrera getting the start at running back tonight after not seeing any carries last week. 10 carries, 103 yards against Roman, 16 for 94 yards against LaSalle, and 3 touchdowns in those 2 games. Quincy Watson came back, and he carried the entire load, as was the plan, but he's not available tonight as Watson, so back to Guerrera again.
Yeah, Quincy Watson toted the ball nearly 30 times last week. Unfortunately, not available tonight.
3rd down and 13. Out of the spread look. Gunter down the middle. McGuire with the catch, and a big one it is on money down. And he's run down after a first down around the 46-yard line. Tackled by C.J. Carwell.
And it's a good start on the money downs for Malvern Prep. You said it. The money down and 1 for 1 on 3rd down conversions in the first quarter is always a great start.
That's Malvern's focus heading into the year. Will continue to be the focus all year. Better performances on 3rd down. The stretch play to the outside. And D'Angelo Stocker getting an early carry here. The talented freshman out of Coatesville getting close to midfield.
Now, we know D'Angelo Stocker is a pure athlete, as Coach has told us multiple times. See what he can do with the ball in his hands this evening.
That was his 4th carry of the season. McGuire's going to line up at the tight end spot on the left side. 8:53 to go in the first. This is just the 2nd series of the game. Berks scored 2 plays in on a long run of 78 yards. Screen play. Aiiah got some space on the wheel, and he's about 2 yards short of the first down. Tackled on the far side by Nicholas Gonzalez.
8 yards. 3rd.
First time into Berks territory tonight for the Friar offense. So 1 for 1 on third down. Hey, why not? Last time they went to McGuire, their big play guy. We'll see what they draw up here.
Now, it looks like we may have a flag on that previous play. I did not see it, but it does look like the official's getting ready to march something off here.
And I obviously didn't see it either.
Flag on the play. Looks like holding.
It looks like illegal.
I think it was a block.
illegal use of
Yeah,
hands.
based on the signal by the referee.
Well, and that'll be 10 yards from the spot of the foul, and we'll repeat second down. It's like second and about 12 now. I'm sorry, 22.
Gunter going deep. He's got Aiiah comes back and makes a wonderful grab at the 31-yard line. Boy, that one a little bit underthrown. Aiiah made one heck of a reception. Wow, outdueling 2 defenders.
So he went up between Christian Caccione and Jordan Briner and took it basically away from both of them. Picks up a big first down for Malvern Prep.
So Gunter 2 of 2 passing, or 3 of 3 actually. Good start for the elder statesman at quarterback for Malvern Prep. He's got a first down and 10 from the 32. Going left side, Lonnie White secures the catch, makes a man miss, and he's driven for a loss of about 2 on the far side.
Kevin, it looks like Lonnie juggled that just a bit on the way in and threw off the timing of the play. I think if Lonnie catches that clean and picks up that first block, coming back against the grain of the defense, if he can get up the seam, could be a big play for Malvern Prep. Something to keep an eye on, see if they come back to that.
And White does have a touchdown reception this season. The sophomore with some speed out of Coatesville. Second down and 12 for Malvern Prep, looking for their first points of the game in the first quarter. Gunter going up the middle, and it's picked off. Interception for Berks down near the 30-yard line. Keith McGuire coming back to make the tackle. That's our first turnover of the game, and it's created by Christian Caccione, the freshman, 5'11", 155.
Saints ball.
And interestingly enough, Kevin, we heard the story earlier today that Christian Caccione is a freshman, complete stud, transferred to Berks Catholic from the Wyomissing School District. Rumor has it that his father went to Malvern Prep, and his older brother won a state championship with Wyomissing in 2013.
A number of transfers on this Berks program. They got a couple of kids from Wilson who was in their area as well, including Abdul McFoy, their other stud running back. They're going to power it up the middle here, going in the gut of C.J. Caldwell, one of the other fullbacks, and he powered forward for a gain of about 3.
Tackle made by Demir Brown.
Demir Brown with the stop.
3, 2nd and 7.
What's key here for Malvern, Mike, against a team that is going to be running it down your throat? You know what's coming from Berks.
I think the key is to be quick off the ball, get off of your blocks fast, and just keep everything in front of you. The last thing you want to be doing is looking at the back of a ball carrier's jersey.
Well, that'll help as well. The play action didn't fool anybody, and a huge stop on the play by John Turley, the senior out of Westchester.
John Turley.
I love the public address announcer here who announces him as John Turley. Some professional wrestling bite to that.
I understand you're available for public address work there, Mike.
I may be, but I love his approach.
So the first money down, if you will, the third down opportunity for the Malvern defense.
And coming off of the turnover, this will be a huge stop if Malvern can get off the field.
3rd and 15 from the Berks 27. Durr's going to be forced to pass here. He's looking down the middle. Too high for McFoy and incomplete.
Pass is incomplete.
McFoy only 5'7", 165. The running back transfer from Wilson.
Now a nice coverage by Taiji Leach on that play by Malvern Prep. He was basically in the line of fire, so to speak, and the only way that Durr was going to get that ball out to McFoy was to go over Taiji Leach. Wound up shooting it high, incomplete. Malvern Prep about to get the ball back on a punt.
Ronnie White back to return. High punt. White circling back. He's got 2 men right in front of him. Nice move by White. Stumbles a little bit. Still on the horse. and he falls forward across the 40-yard line.
Turns it out to the
A great block at the point of attack by Christian Backrath. Lonnie didn't get much on the return, but without that block, he may not have gotten anything.
You have two guys running full speed. Lonnie obviously has to start the motor from nothing, and without that block, you're right, he wouldn't have gotten anywhere. And so, if you're just joining us, 2 plays, 79 yards. Berks, a 78-yard touchdown run by George, the Pitt commit and star fullback. And then 7 plays, 67 yards for the Malvern offense, but the drive stalled due to an interception. So this is their second chance for the Friars to get some points on the board.
Interesting to see here if the Malvern Prep offense has some of the jitters worked out now that they've already been on the field for a series.
Play action. Gunter going long, wants it all. He's got it. It's Ryan McGuire, and he's gone. Touchdown, Malvern Prep.
I think they got the jitters worked out, Kevin.
59 yards to the house on the first play of the drive, and the Friars within 1. Boy, that was easy.
It definitely was. And that first series at Malvern Prep had the ball, even though they went 67 yards in 7 plays, as you mentioned. A lot of difficulty handling the ball. Center snaps, exchanges with ball carriers, juggled passes. They weren't having any of it that time. McGuire, great catch, better throw by Gunter. Touchdown, Malvern Prep.
John Boyle set to hold. Gets the snap. It's down. Costantini's kick is good. And it's 7-all with 5:21 to go in the first.
Buckle up, partner. Could be one of those nights.
Tell me now to buckle up? I was already buckled up. Come on now. And for Ryan McGuire, he is now on the board in terms of the touchdown category this season. And you got to like what Malvern is seeing. They went deep earlier to Aiiah, and it looks like they feel they have a speed matchup on the outside, which is very dangerous for a spread attack and a quarterback like Drew Gunter.
Yeah, they've clearly found something in the film study that they can exploit, not just on the outside, but up the seams as well. I mean, it just seems like they feel like they have more team speed than Berks Catholic, and that their wideouts can just literally run right by the defenders. Interesting, when we look at this matchup, I mean, this is a matchup of two teams that by virtually every ranking system are in the top 20 to top 25 in the state of Pennsylvania. You would think that this is going to be a heavyweight fight, but maybe more so on the defensive side. Not the way that we've come out of the gate so far tonight.
Number 2.
And Coach Keeley on the Berks Catholic side, he has been quoted as saying, we play some of the teams like Malvern who are a little more skilled and bigger we are, but they're not stronger than we are, and we can play with them. So we'll have to see if that is true tonight for Berks Catholic.
Well,
As they got outsped there, that's for sure.
They laid 64 on Boyertown last week, so they're probably feeling pretty confident coming in. We'll see how this shakes out for them.
And another short kickoff, stopped at about the 20-yard line. And it's interesting that we mentioned that because we were talking about how McFoy has scored a couple of kick return touchdowns, and they had 3 special teams touchdowns last week against Boyertown, a couple more this season. So Coach Dave Guerrero has done his homework, kicking it a little bit short, and good job by Costantini there of keeping it out of the hands of McFoy.
You're absolutely right. We know that Seb Constantini has a Division I leg, and he can drop his kickoffs anywhere inside the 5-yard line to through the end zone. But why take a chance at putting the ball in McFoy's hands at the 5-yard line rather than just covering a kick at the 20 and letting your defense go to work?
Last drive for Berks was a 3-and-out. This is the first we'll see of McFoy today. The stutter step outside the 30-yard line, a stiff arm, and he's got the first down, does McFoy. Boy, what a two-headed rushing attack that the Saints have in McFoy, who came in averaging 6 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns, 268 yards, and then George, 2 touchdowns, 311 yards, 7 yards a carry. So these guys, they've got the thunder lightning punch for sure.
And that was a quick 11 yards right there. I mean, he got around that corner, and before you knew it, he was 8 yards upfield, pushed out of bounds after a gain of 11, and moved the chains right out of the gate.
Second first down of the game for the Saints. 7-all here, coming up on 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Durr's going to hand it off, and nice job by staying fundamentally sound. Nick Guerrero was in there, jumped on top at the end, and Turley underneath as well, who's made some big plays early on here.
Gain of 3, 2nd and 7.
2nd down and 7 for the Saints. First meeting between these two squads. Berks Catholic, we mentioned at the open, a lot of success, 63-7 over the past 5 seasons out of Reading. Their only loss this season, 7-0. That snapped a streak of 56 straight games without being shut out. It was to Central Dauphin. And we've got a flag movement before the snap, and the Malvern fans like that.
Start against the Saints, 5-yard penalty.
False start will back them up on 2nd down.
And interestingly, you mentioned that loss to Central Dauphin.
2nd down.
Central Dauphin is exactly 1 spot ahead of them in the High School Football America Pennsylvania Top 25 rankings. Central Dauphin comes in at number 23, Berks Catholic at number 24, Malvern Prep currently ranked at number 10.
And it's very interesting, great matchup. Both these schools roughly equivalent enrollments, right around 642-ish.
Not 641, not 643.
I just picked a random number, I don't know why. Durr is smacked in the backfield for a loss of 3.
On the play,
Nice job in the backfield by Joseph Carpenter and company.
number 36, Joseph Carpenter.
We haven't called Carpenter's name a ton this season. 6'1", 190-pound senior out of Springfield.
And not to take anything away from Carpenter on that, but I want to give some credit to the Malvern Prep secondary on that one as well. Just as the speed has presented a problem for Berks Catholic's defense early on, the speed of the Malvern Prep secondary had all of the Berks Catholic's receivers blanketed.
3rd and 15. Malvern defense has done a wonderful job forcing 3rd and longs here early on in this contest. Durr under a lot of pressure, gets it out to McFoy, but will not get any further. The first effort by Michael Hussey, and he had some help.
Boy, did Hussey close to the ball in a hurry. Excellent play by the young man.
Lonnie White back to return. The punt.
So after a 2-play, 79-yard drive where they had a 78-yard touchdown run to open the game for Berks, 2 nearly 3 and outs. They had a first down and then a couple more plays, and they have to punt it away yet again. Fair catch called for by White. He'll take it at the 35.
And this is, as you mentioned earlier, it's the same story that we saw the last time we were here at Quigley Field. Malvern Prep withstood the opening salvo from LaSalle. Tonight it's from Berks Catholic. They come back, they put a touchdown on the board, and then they get a stop. If they can put points on the board here, put themselves in the driver's seat, make Berks Catholic play from behind, it's going to make things much easier for the Friars.
And these two squads with a common opponent in McDonough, who Malvern beat 19-3 with 2 late scores last week. It was 14-13 in the Berks game. Berks only able to come away with 1 point. So if that means anything to you, there it is.
I am a big proponent of the common opponent theory.
Handoff from Gunter. It's Guerrero again. He hasn't touched the ball in a couple series, and he'll run to the 40 for a gain of about 2 or 3.
Going back to that point, Kevin, Berks Catholic squeaked by McDonough by 1 point on their home turf. Malvern Prep went down to McDonough, came away with the 16-point win. I think that victory on the road has got to do nothing but build confidence for Dave Guerrero's group.
72 degrees tonight. It's a very nice night for football on a Friday evening. 2:14 to go in the first quarter. Malvern trying to take their first lead of the game on this series. Quick strike, Taji Leach. And Leach across midfield into Berks territory.
Taji Leach, who picks up another first down.
Nice throw by Gunter right up the seam, and I'll tell you what, Drew's dealing.
I don't think he's missed except for the interception. I mean,
It's a big miss, but you are correct.
he has underthrown a couple, but that 59-yard touchdown pass to Ryan McGuire, he certainly didn't miss there.
Not one ball that he has thrown has hit the turf.
1st and 10 as they move the change. Gunter. There's Aiiah again. Aiiah gets some nice blocks. A nice block from Leach. Aiiah down the sideline. Cuts it back in inside the 30. And he gets into the 20-yard line where he's knocked out of bounds.
It's a gain of about 35 and a well-designed play by Dave Guerrero. and the Malvern Prep offensive coaching staff.
Gunter's pass is good for
All the way to the Berks 18-yard line. 1:35 remaining in the quarter. This Berks team, number 4 in the state in 4A by Penn Live, having some issues with the passing defense tonight so far. Draw play to Guerrera. Guerrera's got some space, drives forward inside the 10-yard line. He'll be about a yard short of the first down, bringing up second.
Patient run there by Nick Guerrera. Looked like the hole closed up on him, and he just kind of hesitated, stutter step to the left, broke it outside, and turned what should have been no gain into a gain of just about 8.
We talked briefly with his dad before the game, and he said that Nick has handled this very well. The plan all along was that Quincy would take the lion's share of the carries, took all the carries last week, and then Guerrera right back in there running hard. Got to give him a lot of credit. Final minute of the quarter. Guerrera's going to take it again. Off the left side, good enough for a first down, right to the 5-yard line.
Good for another first down.
That's the third first down on this drive for the Friars with 53.4 seconds to go in the period.
And it's big, Kevin, if they just keep grinding the clock, put points on the board. Can't beat that.
6th play of the drive. 6 first downs tonight for the Malvern offense. 1 miscue, it was an interception. Aiiah in motion. He will get the handoff on the jet sweep, and he is thrown down outside the 10-yard line. Big stop by Darcius Laureano, the senior.
Yeah, Laureano stayed home nicely and made a great play to make the tackle on Aiiah.
And Malvern is going to talk about it. They'll let them flip the field, and we'll have a 2nd and goal situation from the 10 coming up. You're watching SFBN's presentation of Malvern Prep football.
Welcome to Granite Run Buick GMC. Here's what some of our customers have to say.
It's more of a family atmosphere here. Thank you, Granite Run. Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
If you're in the market for a new car or truck, do what I do. Go see my friend Ryan Irish and his team at Granite Run Buick GMC. These guys are the best, and that's why we welcome you to Granite Run.
Visit us in person or online at graniterun.com.
Testing. Testing. Is that me? Testing.
Seven, and Malvern is in prime scoring position. A 2nd down and goal coming up from the 10-yard line.
And Kevin, we definitely want to see the Friars punch one in here and get this 2nd quarter off to a good start.
Play 7 of the drive out of the spread look for the Friars. Once again, Aiiah in motion. This time play action, pass through the hands of Keith McGuire and incomplete.
Something you don't see very often. Keith McGuire usually very sure-handed, especially down around the goal line. Play was there. Let's see if they come right back to it.
How about that play call? Same play as they ran previously that went for a 5-yard loss on the run. They had to make sure Berks was disciplined. That time they went for the pass on the option, and, well, they had it, just couldn't fall through it, unfortunately, and they get another crack at it on 3rd down. 11:56 left in the 2nd. Just started the 2nd quarter here. Malvern looking for their first lead of the game. Drew Gunter, pass. Oh, he had a tight window but couldn't fit it through, and good defense on the play. Intended for D'Angelo Stocker. The defense put on by Nicholas Gonzalez.
Is incomplete.
And a tough throw. Gunter put that where only Stocker would be able to catch it. Stocker just couldn't get there and extend fast enough to pull it in.
So a Malvern team that had first-team All-League kicker Garrett Riley last year, but always waiting and never shy about taking the kickoffs was Seb Constantini. 18 touchbacks last fall. As you've said many times, Mike, a powerful Division I leg.
Yeah, and this is Spotted at the 17, a 27-yarder. Should be a chip shot for Seb.
Boyle a little late on the hold, or Boyle, excuse me, and that will be a turnover on downs.
I will never say that again.
Boyle is tackled.
I was going to give you some, you know what, but I'll let it lie.
You can give me whatever you want on that one. I will take the complete blame on that mojo.
What did you see there? The snap was a little off? Tough to control for Boyle there?
A theme that we've seen so far this evening with Malvern Prep. The snap seemed fine. It just wasn't a clean catch and hold. And we've now seen that on 2 exchanges between Gunter and ball carriers, a catch on a pass from Gunter, and now a center snap here on a field goal try.
So Berks is going to run it again. Keith McGuire jumping in there. Demir Brown there on the outside, and Brandon George is stopped for a gain of 3.
It just seems like the prep just isn't able to squeeze it just yet, and it's cost him a couple times.
We've seen that a few times this season as well. Go back to Malvern beating Malvern. Coach Dave Guerrero told us before the year one of their focuses as they head for what they hope is their 3rd straight Interact title this season.
And we're relatively certain that Coach will have plenty to say about that at halftime.
And Durr will hand off to McFoy. They'll work the outside again. Boy, burst of speed through the line, and he's tumbled down for a first down just shy of the 30-yard line.
And I'll tell you what, that was a heck of a collision between Taiji Leach and McFoy at the end of that run.
McFoy, an electric player, had a 90-yard kick return against Boyertown in a 64-6 win over the Bears last week. That was the 2nd highest point total and margin of victory in Berks history. So coming off of that, certainly gave them some momentum starting this game as they had a 78-yard touchdown run by George, the fullback, who came into this game with just over 300 yards on the season. Hand off left side. And it's McFoy again. He won't get very far this time. Hussey was there to
Mike check
make the
1
stop.
2 Mike.
2nd down and around 6.
2nd and 7.
We're deadlocked at 7 with 10:05 to go in the 2nd quarter. Thank you for joining us on tonight's broadcast of Malvern Prep Football, brought to you by Granite Run Buick GMC in media. And this is the big fella, George. He's not going anywhere. Nice stop there. John Turley was there. Turley's had at least 5 stops tonight.
And we're hearing his name quite a bit tonight, Kevin.
Harry Stinger. 3rd and 7.
You're the stat guy. I'm going to go to you. Has Malvern been successful in every single 3rd down?
They have not. They are 1 for 2.
Okay.
You mean
I'm also defensively, yes.
Defensively, yes.
Okay, knocking on wood as well, just for the record. Durr's going to throw again. He's had trouble doing that. He'll take off running. Smart decision. Leach has got to stop him. He does. And we may see a measurement. That was close. The forward momentum took him toward the stick, but what a play by Leach to cut off the angle there.
And another big collision.
They'll give him the first. Second first down of this series. And the 6th play of the drive for the Saints, who got off to a 7-0 lead at the 11:06 mark of the 1st quarter. Malvern tied it with 5:21 to go in the frame, thanks to a 59-yard touchdown pass to Ryan McGuire. The first incompletion that was not an interception by Drew Gunter came to start this quarter. He has been on point for the most part at the quarterback position. And the action fools everyone, almost everyone, and there's McFoy into the open field, down the sideline, and Keith McGuire trips him up to save a touchdown just outside the 5, but what a big run by McFoy.
They went with some misdirection there, and usually when you go misdirection, it's the big man getting the ball. Not in this case, it was McFoy. He got into the secondary in a hurry, had 1 man to beat. Laid a move on Cade Zostic. Cade appeared to slow him up just a little bit. McGuire came over, had the angle, shoe tips, made a tackle that, let's say that got about another 6 yards on the stumble as he was going down, but certainly a touchdown-saving tackle by Keith McGuire.
We have a member of the Clemson football staff in attendance. He's got to like what he saw there, and a nice tackle by McGuire, the Clemson commit. In the backfield, Durr is chased, and he's knocked down for a loss of a couple.
Sack on the play. Looks like Harry Stinger and John Turley.
Who do you give that sack to? I give that as a Malvern sack there. The entire front line.
Yeah, I mean, from my vantage point, it looked like it was John Turley that got there first. But,
the 11-yard line.
I mean, either way, it's a Turley Stinger sandwich, and down he goes.
Justin Roberts, the junior out of Malvern, in there as well. Back to the 11, second down and goal after the 52-yard run by McFoy and the TD saving tackle by Keith McGuire. Now they're going to go outside, cutting back inside, and a flag is down. I saw that flag at the line of scrimmage. They gave that one to Nolan Larkin, the 5'10 sophomore, but that may not be a touchdown after all.
And it's coming back. Our referee, Bill McKeever, this evening has already signaled holding on Berks Catholic.
When you run the ball as much as Berks does, you got to know the other team's going to expect it, so you got to come up with some intricate play calls sometimes, or maybe you got to hold to get.
Just grab a jersey here and there.
But I do want to say I did like the play call on the run to McFoy. It fooled everybody, fooled me for sure. They had guys going right and left. A nice option there on the read by Durr.
Well, and I think what's happened now is Berks Catholic has realized that Malvern Prep's defensive team speed is very, very impressive. They are fast to the ball, but how do you counteract a team that's fast to the ball? You run misdirection. You get them going in the opposite direction. And there it is again.
McFoy able to escape somehow, and he walks into the end zone. Slowed up a little bit, looked like. But he's got a touchdown of the 20-yard variety, and that is his 6th touchdown of the season for McFoy.
And Kevin, what we saw there was Berks Catholic give a look of student body left, everyone except for McFoy. McFoy stayed there, took the ball, came back to the right, went in virtually untouched.
Extra point opportunity upcoming for Jamin Smith. The hold is not clean, and running to the left side is Jack Burke. Burke's going to have to loft it up in the air, and it's picked off by Demir Brown. So it will be 13-7 after the bobbled snap. But Burke's still in the lead.
It appears those bobbled center snaps are becoming contagious.
13-7.
Well, the first week we could blame it on the field, the weather in Wildwood, but I'm not sure what to blame it on tonight.
No, but I think the bigger story here, Kevin, is Malvern Prep defense has to come up with an answer for that misdirection now. It appeared that Berks ran the misdirection on 3 out of 4 plays, and 2 long gains and a touchdown came out of that. And they have to find somebody on the backside to just stay home and keep an eye on that tailback who hesitates in the backfield and then breaks the complete opposite direction of the line flow.
9 plays, 81 yards on the drive. That took 4 minutes and 35 seconds off the clock. A 20-yard touchdown run by McFoy.
For the Saints.
Zostek and White back to receive for the Friars. Low boot. White's going to have to go to the sideline, and a favorable bounce out of bounds. That'll throw the flag and give Malvern decent field position to start. So Malvern responded the first time. Can they do so again? Chances are yes.
I think so, and I think they have to go right back to the way that they responded the first time. They have to get themselves a nice run, or a nice mix of run and pass, until they feel like they can get into striking position and then take their shot.
Their first offensive drive of the game was a 7-play, 67-yard drive. It ended with an interception that did feature a mix of the run and pass, and then the next drive, 1 play, 59 yards, a touchdown to Ryan McGuire.
On the 35-yard.
So again, they are trying to keep this defense for Berks guessing, but you got to give a lot of credit to the Saints, the way they played defensively. I think I'm really seeing what Coach Keeley was talking about. We play teams that are more skilled, maybe bigger than us, but sometimes we're stronger, and they are certainly playing with Malvern tonight, leading 13-7.
So far, this matchup has been everything it was billed to be.
Again, that jet sweep action, the option goes to Keith McGuire. He's going to take his first carry of the night, spinning away from a couple of tacklers and barreling through another about 2 yards short of the first down across the 40.
It looked like McGuire stopped and changed directions at least 3 times on that carry. That is a lot of work for 7 yards, but a great run by the Clemson commit.
Even faster tempo out of the spread for Malvern. See if they can take advantage. Gunter to Aiiah. Nice blocking there. Aiiah going to cut it back. Now he spins out, runs into his own man, and into Berks territory to the 45.
And you take a look and see how far Brendan Flynn was up the field for Malvern Prep. He looked like he was ready to flatten someone in the secondary.
Malvern line that averages 6'2.5", 251 pounds, and they can run as well. Very athletic. Gunter back to the air again. White, what a catch on the sideline. Tight roping inside the 20.
He went up over Anthony Myers. Gunter put it on a dime. And Lonnie White went out and picked that thing right out of the air.
At what point did this team become a team full of Julio Joneses? As we've seen great catches by Aiiah and White tonight as well, and great throws by Gunter to put it where only his man can get it.
I don't want to go back and harp on it, but we talked about it earlier, Kevin. Gunter is dealing.
36-yard pass there. Back-to-back first downs through the air. They go on the ground. Back to Keith McGuire, stiff arm, out toward the 10-yard line, a gain of about 7 on the play. Boy, what a punishing run by McGuire.
Yeah,
Gain of 6 yards.
Looks like the defensive back on that side, Sean Clemens for Berks Catholic, just got a very rude introduction to one Keith McGuire.
5th play of the drive, McGuire stays in the backfield. This is a lot like what we saw early on. Nick Guerrero had a series of running back. Keith McGuire, it's his show now. And we'll see if they go to the air on this play. They do. And it's Aiiah. Aiiah shakes out of one tackler. Almost spins away from another right at that stick on the far side.
It's going to be interesting to see where they spot this. Tough call from our angle.
Got to give a lot of credit, by the way, to Anthony Myers, the 5'9", 160-pound sophomore who was able to save a TD on his end as the Malvern player is down on the near side. And it looks like it is Justin Roberts, the junior. So you got to like what Aiiah brings, the leader in receptions coming into this game for Malvern. He's gone very deep a couple of times, and deep touchdown early in the season for Aiiah, but he's very good at the line of scrimmage as well, and the blocking's pretty good on those screen action plays.
He doesn't need a lot of space to operate. I think the one thing that Coach Guerrero may have liked to have seen on that play was after the initial contact, you know you're that close to the sticks, fall forward, get the first down. It looked like he thought that there may have been an opportunity to kind of shake a tackle by giving a little bit of ground on that play and try to turn it to the outside. It looked like he may have come up just a bit short of the marker. Right now the referees are or the officials I should say, are showing 3rd down on the sticks. So close. Great effort by Aiiah. I'm sure they're going to come back to that multiple times this evening.
Malvern Prep an undefeated run through the Interac last season, but they had some struggles in the non-league portion of their schedule this year. 49-17 win over Roman, 35-23 over LaSalle, and 19-3 over McDonough. So far undefeated. Another tough test, and they've got a 3rd down upcoming, 3rd and 1 from the 11 of Berks Catholic. Nick Guerrero to the left, Keith McGuire to the right, of Gunter in the backfield. This is going to be a handoff. Nick Guerrero skating inside the 5, and he's knocked down at about the 1-yard line for a gain of 9.
He is inside the 1, just shy of the touchdown.
Looks like 1st and goal from the 2-yard line.
So Malvern goes right into that set. And the handoff again to Guerrero. Same play look, but Berks was ready for it. Stopped it on that left side. And very heads-up play by Shane Murphy, the 6'4 senior. Another Wilson transfer for this Berks squad. 8th play of the drive coming up for Malvern Prep that started at the 7:07 mark. Same formation for the Friars. Last time they got in this position, they weren't able to score. They go to Guerrera again, and why not? He's into the end zone. Nick Guerrera, his first touchdown run in 2 weeks, and the offensive line did a good job blocking the way to tie things up at 13.
Like we talked about, Kevin, a good mix of run and pass and just matriculate their way right down the field to pay dirt.
So now we'll see if that bobbled snap on the previous extra point try by Berks comes into play as Costantini is back out there. They had a 27-yard field goal attempt that was marred by a bobbled snap, but everything perfect there. Great job by Boyle, great job by Costantini, and the extra point is good, and Malvern has their first lead of the night.
Put your Friars on top with 4 minutes and 9 seconds to go, 14-13.
Kevin, with 4:09 left in the half here, I have a feeling that we're not done with the scoring so far for this stanza, if you will.
I do have to say, though, what's with these long drives all of a sudden? You had a 4-minute, 35-second touchdown drive for Berks, and that last drive for Malvern, 8 plays, 75 yards, 3 minutes, capped off by the Guerrera touchdown.
And Malvern Prep 1 for 1 on third down on that drive. They're currently 2 for 4 on third down conversions. Berks Catholic 1 for 3.
And unofficially, 10 first downs for the Friars to about 6, maybe 7 for Berks.
And that's what we call moving the sticks.
Kicking off for your Friars, Sebastian.
So Costantini will try to put his foot into it. We'll see if they give McFoy and company an opportunity to make a return. They've been kicking it slightly short so far this evening to about the 15. We've seen both teams actually try to do that to keep it away from the speedy return men.
And Kevin, to their credit, Berks Catholic hasn't played bad defensively at all tonight. Malvern Prep's offense is just a juggernaut.
And there it is, the touchback. Much needed from Costantini. And we'll go back to the Saints.
Sebastian Costantini kicks it into the end zone.
So Terrence Durr, the quarterback for the Saints, his 4th season, he had 11 passing records coming into this season with 3,108 yards. And those passing records, I should mention, obviously at Berks Catholic. Drew Gunter looked at those numbers and said, yeah, right. He took over halfway through his sophomore year, and he had well over 3,000 yards heading into this year. Obviously a different type of attack for Berks Catholic, of course, where they run the ball a little more, but as we've seen from Durr, very heady when it comes to where and when to hand the ball off. This time they'll go down the left sideline.
Number 17.
And they went to Anthony Myers, the sophomore. His first carry.
Little jet sweep action by the wide receiver Myers there. Nice gain on the play.
That carry was good for a Saints first down.
10 yards there. Out to the 30, so another first down. The chains continue to move inside 4 minutes to go in the first half. A little bit more spread out with the trips on the right. George is knocked down in the backfield. And Demir Brown's going to come out of that. He was underneath, got the ankles wrapped, and then the rest of the men in blue came and finished the job.
Great job by Demir of reading the handoff and going straight to the ball carrier. As you said, Demir had him around the legs, and pretty much the rest of the interior of the Malvern Prep defense finished him off.
The senior out of Valley Township. Turnover-wise, Malvern had a +2, I know, coming out of that LaSalle game. Yet to see a turnover forced by them tonight. A big collision there on the hit. Well, McFoy didn't go 50 yards that time, that's for sure. Leach bringing the hammer again.
No, and that's maybe the 3rd or 4th big hit that I've seen out of Tyson Leach tonight. I mean, he has come with a chip on his shoulder on the defensive side of the ball.
Back to 3rd down again. By the way, all of the hard hits by Tyson Leach are the All-American Sporting Goods hard hits of the game. They're at the corner of Cottman and Tabor in Northeast Philadelphia. Money down for Malvern Prep. And a counter play. It's George, the pick commit. And he's got enough for the first down to the 42.
Tackle made by number 31, Cayman Hayes.
George is quite a big man, and he had 12 tackles on the defensive side last week, 10 tackles the previous week, but on the offensive side, as we mentioned, he'll average around 7 yards a pop as well. And when you're going to Pitt, that's a team that likes to run the football. We've seen that many times this season. One heck of a player.
Yeah, whether Pitt decides to use him on the offensive or defensive side of the ball, I don't think it's going to matter. The Panthers are getting a good one.
And in the backfield, a loss of 5, a sack for the Friars, and
Guerrera
has been everywhere offensively and defensively tonight.
Timeout.
Our first timeout of the first half. It'll go to Berks Catholic. This game brought to you by Granite Run Buick GMC in media. Thank you for joining us on SFBN. 1:42 to go in the second quarter, 14-13. So far, the little things have been the difference. It was a bobbled snap on an extra point. That's one little thing, but we also had a 27-yard field goal attempt by Malvern, bobbled snap there. So each team has left some points on the board here or there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Neither team has played poorly, but there have been a lot of little things that just haven't been real crisp or clean. I will say the Drew Gunter touchdown pass to Ryan McGuire may have been one of the prettiest throws that I've seen at the high school level this year. Probably one of our early candidates for a play of the game as well. Be interesting to see what the rest of this quarter as well as the second half brings.
And the Aiiah and Lonnie White catches along the sideline, give them a lot of credit too. Those have been outstanding.
No question.
Durr being chased, nice spin move off the defender to make the stop.
Sacked by...
And that was Nate Dollar, and he had some help from Carpenter as well.
Loss of 2.
But I think that was Dollar who was outside the numbers, spun back in, did a great job of getting away from the blocker.
Yeah, it looked like Dollar made the initial contact, but Carpenter finished it off, and Dollar, it looked like, had a chance at a strip there and was real close to knocking that ball out.
Back to third down. What are the stats defensively for Malvern?
Berks Catholic right now, 2 for 4 on third downs. This is a long one, though. This is a 3rd and 13.
A run again. It is George finding some space. Gets away from one tackler or two. Now he's outside. Oh, he's got a first down. What a run by the powerful George. They just say give him the ball and he'll make things happen. Boy, great blocks. Sprung through the line of scrimmage, and he made a couple of men miss as well as Zostek knocked him out of bounds.
First down.
It looked like he lost his helmet at the end of the play and just kept right on running. Didn't phase him one bit.
Third first down of the drive for the Saints. 7th play of the drive coming up. Final 50 seconds and change of the first half. 2 timeouts left for Berks. We'll see what they decide to do here.
And Kevin, unofficially, Berks Catholic now 3 for 5 on third downs.
And
2 of them on runs by the big man.
Got it with some long runs as well. There's going to drop back to pass. He's going to go down the left side and tipped out of bounds. D'Angelo Stocker on the coverage. Nice break up there.
By D'Angelo.
We're looking for Luke Payton, listed as 6'6", 245.
I was going to say, he is a big target. As you said, 6'6", 6'7", 245, 250. Big tight end, got to the outside, showed some speed. But D'Angelo Stocker ran stride for stride, went up and knocked that ball away nicely.
Only 5'11" is Stocker. But Coatesville, they are one of the top-ranked football programs in the area, in the state, really. And Stocker out of that area, and only a freshman. We've talked about that many times, so it's tough to see playing time as a freshman on this squad. And a penalty at a very inopportune time here. We'll see what the call is. Some early movement on Berks. False start, and they'll back the Saints up with 44 seconds left in the half.
Flag on the play. Illegal procedure. 5-yard penalty.
Seen a good amount of penalties here.
And 15 from the
Yeah, the officials certainly haven't been shy about dropping the laundry on the field, that's for sure.
Right from the jump. So the flags on the opening kick.
Literally from the jump. 2 penalties on the opening kickoff, and they've been pretty consistent with the flags ever since.
Malvern will get the ball back to start the second. We'll see if they can keep the Saints off the board. The pass a little high, and James Hayes with the interception. Hayes read the quarterback's eyes all the way, and inside the 40-yard line where he's run out of bounds. That's the first turnover for the Friars, and it's a big one with 35 seconds left in the half.
And that return is going to put the Friars in great field position to put some additional points on the board before the half.
Third interception of the season for James Hayes. Big time there, stopping what was a 9-play drive with Berks poised to try to put some points on the board.
Kevin, do you remember the old Nintendo game Tecmo Bowl?
Yes, I do.
Where you always wanted to be the team that scored last in the first half and then came out and got the ball first in the second half and scored again to go up by 2 scores? See if we can't get a little Tecmo Bowl action out of Malvern Prep right here.
All right, there's your video game reference. Now we got Gunter. Drops back, lost it, all the way down, and too long for Lonnie White. But White with the speed had the advantage. 29 seconds left now, and Malvern's got a couple of timeouts if they want to use them.
And 10.
Just a tick overthrown. Lonnie White with that speed got some separation from the defense, and it was just going to be a matter of what got to the back line of the end zone first, the ball or Lonnie. And the ball just arrived a tick early.
Lonnie White had an acrobatic catch earlier in this game for a gain of about 30 yards. We'll see where they go here for Malvern on 2nd and 10. From the 35, Gunter.
Got the matchup down the middle of the field. Incomplete. Looking for Keith McGuire on the play. Gunter's pass intended for Keith McGuire is incomplete. 3rd and 10. 25 seconds left in the second quarter. 3rd down and 10.
Here, a 9-play drive, an 8-play drive, and then an 8-play drive by Berks that was interrupted by a Hayes interception. That's how Malvern has gotten the opportunity to put some more points on the board. Friars took the lead on a Nick Guerrero touchdown run at the 4:09 mark of this quarter. 3rd and 10, Stocker in the slot near side, Aiiah far side. It's White on the slant, and he dropped it. They had him at the sticks, and nice coverage on the play by Berks Catholic and Alexander Prito.
Now, if you're Coach Guerrera, with just under 20 seconds left here, Kevin, what's your call?
Well, Berks got a couple of timeouts, but I don't know if they've shown much through the air here. Malvern, as we mentioned, had their full complement of timeouts, so Coach Guerrero is going to talk about it, make sure he makes the correct decision here.
Now, we know that Sebastian Constantini has a Division I leg, but this is probably about a 52-yard attempt should they elect to kick a field goal. He would be kicking with a bit of a breeze, but I think it might be a bit too long even for his range.
Well, 20 seconds, not a ton of time, but enough time for a big play. And we've seen a couple of big plays of the 50-yard variety. We saw a 78-yard touchdown run from Berks to open the game. But it also comes down to a decision like this, how much you trust your defense. And Malvern's defense has been pretty solid so far this season, that's for sure. Especially after they just got an interception on the previous drive.
So if you're Coach Guerrero here, do you think maybe the play is to run a bunch of receivers deep and then try to hit something underneath?
Well, they got a couple. They got a couple timeouts.
Get a timeout and then reset and go back at it again.
But who knows anymore? At the 5:31 mark of the first quarter, we saw them just go deep with a 59-yard touchdown pass to Ryan McGuire. So maybe if they have the right matchup, they'll go deep on the outside.
A lot of plays in the arsenal.
Looks like the safeties are shading over toward the sidelines to help out. Gunter steps up in the pocket. He's going to throw deep down the right side and out of bounds as Aiiah is upended, and the fans want a flag for PI, but nothing given by the officials.
And I don't quite understand that. The ball was a tick underthrown, but Aiiah's got to be given the opportunity to come back and make a play on that ball.
So I'm trying to think of what went into the call there. Either they thought he tripped, they thought the ball was uncatchable. I'm not sure, to be honest.
I can't see how the official would think that was incidental contact, but if he did, that's a tough call.
But that took a couple of seconds off the clock, so that's for sure. At least 9 seconds off the clock there. 11.9 seconds to go for Berks. Malvern set to get the ball to start the second half.
There's probably time for about 2 plays for Berks if they go quick.
Interesting to see if they do go deep. They've had some trouble with that in the passing game. Their quarterback completing around 48%. Not bad, but again, only averaging 75 pass yards per game are the Saints.
There's the misdirection.
And McFoy going outside toward the sideline, gets out of bounds. 7 seconds to go in the half.
Nice job by Mike Hussey staying home on that and forcing him out of bounds.
5 seconds and 5.
They've hit that play for big gains several times in the first half, and I think they were looking for another one there.
It's a Berks team that's actually lacking all-league center Nico Myers. They're going to miss him for another month. He was injured early against McDonough, so junior Jace Fowler has been filling in at center. It's always good when your backup is a junior. Get to get some experience in there, especially when you're as run-heavy as this Berks team is. Under center again is Durr. And the handoff going off the left side to Garcia. Garcia heading toward the sideline. He's knocked out of bounds at the 41, and that is going to do it. Time runs out. After 2 quarters of play, the Malvern Prep Friars in front, 14-13. You're watching this presentation of Malvern Prep football on SFBN.
This evening.
Just a programming note for you if you're still hanging around. We've got 15 minutes on the clock for halftime, and that hasn't started yet, so you've got some time. They've just started the 15 now. What we're going to do is we're going to stop the stream for a moment, and we're going to restart it for the second half, so no worries. We'll be right back for the second half. Again, Malvern leading 14-13 on SFBN. Welcome back to Malvern as we get set for the start of the second half between the Malvern Prep Friars and the Berks Catholic Saints. Kevin Fodinger, Mike Mataraki, and Chris Markowitz, broadcast team tonight. And Chris is standing by, awaiting a talk with head coach Dave Guerrera of the Friars, who lead 14-13 at halftime. They got their first lead of the game with 4:09 to go in the second quarter. Tough matchup tonight against the team that knows what they want to do and run the ball with some talented running backs in Berks Catholic. And as Mike has said, it's been everything it's been advertised to be coming into tonight. And Coach Guerrera's standing by with Chris Markowitz at the track. And we will go down to Chris. Chris, what do you have for us here?
Thanks, Kevin. I'm here with Coach. Coach, in the first half, the run game looks solid. It's a tough to begin with. What do you have to do in the second half to slow down Berks' running game?
Absolutely. No, we have to do a better job reading our keys and staying home. I think we've been a little undisciplined in the first half, and they have taken advantage of it. So we have to settle down, read our keys, and be more disciplined and make plays.
Coach, thank you. Back to you guys.
And we go over the first half scoring here, and just like we saw in the LaSalle game, it didn't take long for the Malvern opponent to put points on the board. 2 plays, 79 yards in 40 seconds. A 78-yard touchdown run by George at the 11:06 mark, and the kick was good to make it 7-0, Mike.
And as we talked about when it happened, it was right out of the gate. As you said, just as we saw with LaSalle, the visiting team coming into Quigley Field and trying to make a statement right out of the gate, go with a play that's going to put points on the board, and Malvern has been susceptible to that big play in the first series. Happened again here tonight, but Malvern Prep, great job coming back.
Well, they had a 7-play, 67-yard drive. Starting to build something was Malvern early on in the first quarter, and then Cacchione had an interception at the 7-12 mark, but Malvern forced a punt. And then 1 play later, 59-yard touchdown pass from Drew Gunter to Ryan McGuire. The kick was good to tie us up at 7 with 5:21 to go in the first. And then we saw our next scoring as we headed to the second quarter. There was an opportunity for Malvern to score after a long drive, a 27-yard field goal attempt, but the snap was bobbled and they didn't get the kickoff, so that got it back to Berks. And Berks resumed the lead with a 9-play, 81-yard drive, scoring on a 20-yard run by McFoy with 7:07 to go in the second. But the extra point was missed, which was key to make it 13-7 at the time.
Now, Kevin, one of the things that we saw in the first half, especially early on, for Malvern Prep, quarterback Drew Gunter was just dealing. I mean, we made a comment only half jokingly towards the end of the first quarter that not one pass of his had hit the ground. I think at one point he may have been 12 for 13, and the one incompletion was an interception.
And then he didn't have another incompletion until the start of the second quarter.
Right, but then what happened was as the second quarter wore on, I don't know if it was a matter of them taking more shots deeper down the field or Drew just kind of cooled off a little bit, but late in the second quarter started to see some balls hitting the ground a little bit. I think the key for Malvern Prep is going to be coming out here in the second half, Gunter getting hot again and letting that aerial attack set up the run.
So it was 13-7 at the time there, and then Malvern answered back with an 8-play, 75-yard drive over 3 minutes, capped off by a Nick Guerrero 1-yard touchdown run, and they made the extra point to go up 14-13. James Hayes has interception at the end of that quarter, but Malvern turned it over on downs, trying to get some points late, and that's where we stand now. 14-13, and here we go with Lonnie White to receive the opening kick. He's pasted down outside the 25.
28-yard line.
So we heard from Coach Dave Guerrera at halftime, Mike, and I think that's always an interesting question when you're facing a team like Berks Catholic. How do you defend them? And they said you have to be gap sound, and you can't really point to one dimension. They've struggled on the inside runs at times. They've struggled on the outside runs. Good blocks and very good players for Berks coming out of that backfield.
Oh, it's interesting. One of the things that we talked about a couple times in the first half was the misdirection plays by Berks Catholic, and Coach Guerrera said he needs his defense to read their keys. Stay home, read their keys, don't bite on the misdirection. I think he feels like they'll be fine.
And they're loading up the right side here. Gunter, quick out, and there he is. Lonnie White makes a man miss, slips a little bit, and White off to the races. Down to 30, 20, 15, he's gone. The sophomore, Lonnie White, all the way to the house for the Malvern Prep Friars, and that is a 73-yard touchdown.
1 play, 73 yards, 9 seconds. Heck of an efficient drive to get the second half started.
Well, when you got that play in the playbook, why not, right?
Absolutely.
I think that was the other question that Chris was looking to ask Coach Guerrera is, do you feel you have that advantage on the outside speed-wise? And we've seen that a lot tonight.
Oh, great play there is Lonnie White just took it right up the seam, made a great catch, and then broke back to the outside, got around the corner, and once he got around the corner, he was gone.
Extra point attempt is good for Malvern Prep. So Drew Gunter with 8 touchdown passes on the season. And Lonnie White, he has another touchdown as well to his name, the sophomore with his second receiving TD of the year, and it's 21-13 Friars.
And he just continues to prove over and over how reliable a receiver he can be for this Malvern Prep offense.
So their first long touchdown play was 10 seconds. That one was 12 seconds, but it was a little bit longer. So great run the 40-yard dash there. Lonnie White straight down the field. He did make a man miss, slipped a little bit, and there you go. One play.
My mental clock had that at 9 seconds, but I think it was because I was looking at how fast Lonnie was running.
I don't think the numbers matter. I think the only thing that matters is they got into the end zone.
It's the 6 points that went on the board. That's the only number that matters.
And Constantini has been perfect on the PAT so far tonight. That has been key as well. As we mentioned, Malvern didn't get their first lead until 4:09 to go in the second quarter after a very long drive, a punishing drive. And now they're starting to put on some points. And we've seen them come on in the second half a lot of late. That has been their MO, especially against McDonough. They won 19-3. Struggling to score a little bit, and then they turned it on in the second half. Keith McGuire had a pick 6. He's had a couple of those, and the offense just really started firing on all cylinders. So Berks has got to be careful here. With all of that said, Malvern a chance to come out strong in the second half. It's a short kickoff. McFoy wanted it. He's not going to be able to get it. Out across the 25-yard line. And off to the races across the 40. This is Anthony Myers. Myers inside the 20, 15-10, and he's knocked out of bounds after a long return for Berks.
It looked like Tyler Tinson
was over there as well.
It looked like Tyler Tinson ran him down from behind, and Constantini got over, but, I mean, Malvern Prep went with a directional kick, and it was a nice kick by Constantini. Looked like Malvern Prep had the Berks Catholic offense hemmed in between the 20 and 25-yard lines, and the returner just came out of a pack and took it right up the sideline.
The problem is, we mentioned McFoy had a 90-yard kick return last week. Well, Anthony Myers returned a punt 65 yards. So even those guys who are up a little bit more have some electricity to them. So what a response from Berks after that shot to the jaw on the long pass. They go back to George on the counter run outside, and he's not going to get too far. He's muscled back. Nice job up front by Harry Stinger.
And it's interesting, Kevin, right before the kickoff, what I was about to say to you was it was going to be a key drive on the defensive side for Malvern Prep. If they could put those points up on the first play of the second half and then hold and get the ball back, they would really be in the driver's seat. That kickoff return obviously takes momentum and puts it right back in Berks Catholic's favor.
Right around a 70-yard kick return. This sets up second down and goal for the Saints. They're going to run left side, trying to stretch it out there. And into the end zone for a touchdown. It is Garcia. And Luis Garcia into the end zone for 6.
Punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch, all night.
Just the 8th carry of the season for Garcia, his first touchdown of the year.
And we are 1 minute and 16 seconds into the second half, and we've seen 13 points go on the board so far.
We've been all over the place. We had clock turning drives at the end of the second quarter, and now we've got the big play drives here. And the Saints will go for 2 because of that missed extra point on a bobbled snap in the second quarter. And we've got whistles at the snap. Looks like they were going to give it to George and just run it up the gut. That's a smart strategy there.
Do you believe we have a false start on Berks Catholic?
You are correct.
False start against
Tough situation to have that.
Interesting call now. Do you try to go for 2 again, or do you bring your kicker onto the field and try to take something that's maybe a little more automatic? And I do use that term loosely.
We've seen a couple of bobbled snaps.
Exactly.
On field goal attempts and also PATs tonight. That drive was 2 plays, 10 yards, 45 seconds. Low snap, and Durr is knocked down. They'll blow the whistle before he goes to the ground. Nice job getting through the line by John Turley and company. The whole D-line really to jump on that and pounce on the opportunity.
So you had mentioned it just a moment ago, what we've seen tonight with bobbled snaps and botched exchanges and things of that nature, and it works in the Friars' favor on that occasion.
And this is what Coach Dave Guerrero said on the Berks side. Now we're seeing transpire, Malvern beating Malvern. In a game this close, a game like this, you see those 2 miscues on the PATs, and that could end up being pretty costly come the end of this game. Now there's still a ton of time left, 10:44 to go, and we've just seen 2 touchdowns already in this second half, so we'll see.
Yeah, 40 combined points on the board already, and we're just starting the second half here for all intents and purposes.
Welcome to the track meet, everyone. If you're just joining us, a 73-yard touchdown from Gunter to Lonnie White. One of 2 touchdown passes thrown by Gunter of the 50-plus yard variety tonight. That made it 21-13. And then just a few seconds ago, maybe a few minutes ago at this point, Garcia with a 5-yard touchdown run off of a 70-yard kickoff return. Here's White trying to outduel Berks. Found some space along the sideline. Decent return. He was bumped out of bounds by Luke Payton.
Where the Friars take over, 1st and 10.
As you said, decent return. Malvern Prep's going to start nearly midfield at their own 45. Call it the, actually 41-yard line. Looks like Lonnie stepped out a little further up the field, but still approaching midfield to start the drive with this offense. Here we go.
First meeting between these 2 programs, very highly anticipated. Again, a great 5-year record that Coach Dave Guerrero said a lot of good things preseason when we talked to him about this Berks game that was coming up.
63-9 over the 5 previous seasons.
And Keith McGuire met in the backfield. He says doesn't matter, and he'll try to get back to the original line of scrimmage. Gets pretty close there. Nice tackle on the play for no gain by Joseph Albert, the 5'8 senior wide receiver and D-back. Haven't seen a lot of long runs. We've seen a lot of long passes for sure from Malvern today, but it's always good to keep the defense honest, and they've done a good job mixing things up when the situation warrants it. And there's Keith McGuire trying to make some men miss. He does so and gets to about the 48-yard line. Very patient runner, we've noticed from Keith McGuire. Again, Quincy Watson came back last week, not available this week, so we're back to the Guerrero and McGuire 2-headed rushing attack.
I can't help but feel like from the look of those last 2 carries that Coach Guerrero may not be using McGuire to set something up here as well.
All right, so last time when you were thinking that the field goal was basically a chip shot and there was a miss, now you're calling maybe some sneaky play that could go for a touchdown here to redeem yourself. I see what you're doing. We'll see what happens.
I don't know if it's going to be a sneaky play, just more working tendencies.
Leach. Great slant. Gets outside, breaking 2 tackles. And another one, a short pull tackle inside the 15, 10. Cuts back inside, down at the 2-yard line.
And great blocks downfield, especially by our guy Keith McGuire down around the 5-yard line. It allowed Taiji to almost get into the end zone.
Leach came in averaging 47 yards per catch on his 5 catches. I mean, he wasn't going to go down at 10. He took it at least 50 yards toward the 7-yard line. Malvern will hand it off. It's McGuire diving in. They'll say no, short. The ball may have been across the plane, and we've got a flag after the fact as well, as the tackle was made by Nicholas Gonzalez.
This is going to be an interesting call. Not sure if they're going to call unsportsmanlike on Malvern Prep or if they're going to call Keith McGuire for lowering his helmet. But this will be an interesting call. Referee Bill McKeever is coming over once again to talk to the Malvern Prep coaching staff. And this may wind up just being a sideline warning on Malvern Prep.
It is. We talked about this before, how Coach Guerrero really gets into it. the players do as well, and why not? A very important play. McGuire diving toward the pylon, toward that goal line, may have gotten across, but again, Gonzalez made a nice TD saving tackle for the moment.
And just interesting where that flag came from. You wouldn't have expected that official.
So it's second down. Sorry.
Calling the sideline warning. Sorry about that.
No
Kevin,
problem.
But it'll interesting to see where they go now on second down.
Second and goal. They go back to McGuire, who dodges inside, and he's in for a 5-yard touchdown. That was set up by a 50-yard pass and catch to Taji Leach. Did most of the running himself. And then McGuire, 2 plays later, into the end zone for a rushing touchdown. It's 27-19 Friars.
And he ducked in there behind Big Will Redden, number 57, 6'6", 295-pound offensive lineman out of Kennett Square, and got in behind that big body and just tucked it right into the end zone.
Yeah, great to have tackles, 6'6", 295 and 6'4", 275. We talked about Redden a couple games earlier to open the season, transfer from Kennett High. Was raw at the time when they got him, and definitely not so now a couple games into the year, as Costantini remains perfect on the point afters.
Yeah, it's a great point you make, Kevin. We're talking about a high school program now, albeit an elite high school program, but a high school program where your 2 starting tackles are 6'4", 275 and 6'6", 295. I mean, if you can't give a quarterback time or run the ball with those 2 big bookends, I don't know when you're going to be able to.
I think I should recap the scoring because we still got 8:31 to go in the third, and we've already seen 3 touchdowns.
One heck of an idea.
All right, so we had a 1-play, 73-yard, just the normal 1-play, 73-yard touchdown from Gunter to Lonnie White to get us started. Some fireworks to open up the second half. Kick was good, 21-13, and then a play 10-yard drive after a 70-yard kick return. 5-yard run by Garcia. The extra point no good after a penalty backed Berks up, and it was 21-19. And then we just saw a 4-play, 59-yard drive over 2 minutes, and Keith McGuire a 5-yard touchdown to make it 28-19 Malvern.
And just to remind our listening and viewing audience, that is just the second half scoring.
Just this quarter. 8:31 to go in the third quarter. First half, Malvern got their first lead of the game with 4:09 to go in the second on a 1-yard Nick Guerrero run. That was 14-13, and that was the halftime score. Malvern trying to remain undefeated. First meeting between them and Berks. They'll kick it even shorter this time if that was possible. Maybe we'll see it on set. No, I'm kidding. And it's down at the 30-yard line. So very smart because they realized, yes, we're keeping it away from McFoy, who can take it 90 yards to the house, but Myers is hiding there. Oh, maybe we forgot about him. And he took it nearly to the house last time, setting up Berks' touchdown.
What better way to defend that than to squib kick it off of one of the linebackers who's serving as the up man at the 30-yard line. Now, Kevin, we have not had a single third down in the second half.
That's good for you. You work on tracking those things, so you haven't had to do much.
Easy night for the color guy, right? Hardly.
8:31 to go in the third. McFoy will get the handoff. Breaking it outside again. Hayes is in the area, and also Taji Leach will usher him out of bounds after another first down. Very dangerous on the outside is McFoy.
Much better job on the pursuit by Malvern Prep that time, but again, it's the misdirection that Berks Catholic really seems to have something rolling with.
Both running backs, again, entered tonight averaging 7 yards per carry. First down and 10 for the Saints. Got to stay gap sound, as Coach Dave Guerrero said. Got to stay with your keys, stay at home. A lot of misdirection from this running attack that averages 220-some yards a game, and there you go. Nice tackle in the backfield by Nick Guerrero on Brandon George for no gain.
And an ankle tackle at the line of scrimmage is always a sure way to stop some momentum.
Like Drew Gunter, Nick Guerrero letting this season do the talking in terms of what colleges might be interested in him. Second team All-Interact last year out of Westchester. The nephew of head coach Dave Guerrero. Back under center are the Saints, and Durr is going to drop back this time. Going down the middle and bounced, and in the area of coverage was Caden Zostic, the junior.
And Zosek
Very
was the
long,
closest to the ball.
very long release, too, by Durr, I've noticed tonight on the throwing.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head there, Kevin. I mean, if you had to compare the two quarterbacks between Gunter and Durr, Gunter definitely has the quicker release, and Durr, while having a very strong arm, seems to be fighting the accuracy a little bit tonight, and maybe that is a result of, as you said, that very long release.
And that's tough with as good as Malvern's pass defense has been, coming into this one with over 5 interceptions on the season deep. McFoy, and then Hill handed off. And, well, Malvern was ready for that. Let's just say that. John Turley and company are pumped up after that stop. Back to the line of scrimmage.
Like an old Delaware wing T play without the formation, so to speak. They ran a reverse, but they ran it with the handoff on the inside coming back against the grain. That Malvern prep defense, as we've talked about multiple times, backside stayed home, dropped it for no gain, and here we are, 4th down, Malvern forcing a punt.
That was our first real three and out, since 5:31 to go in the first quarter. So we've been back and forth so far. Now we'll let that one roll inside the 20, now to the 20. 6:56 remaining in the third. You are watching this presentation of Malvern Prep Football on SFBN, brought to you by Granite Run Buick GMC in media. So very interesting stop by the defense, and for Malvern, it's just a chance to keep some things rolling here, Mike.
Yeah, and I have to wonder if Coach Guerrera hasn't taken the approach that the best defense tonight may be a good offense. Come out, put more points on the board than Berks can score, and force Berks to try to play into Malvern's hands on the offensive end. And you saw right there, Malvern forces the 3 and out.
Gunter to McGuire, and they've also had a couple of runs as well. Lonnie White had a touchdown reception, and then Keith McGuire and Nick Guerrera have had touchdown runs. The points scored tonight by the Malvern offense. So Ryan McGuire got on the board with a long TD, and Lonnie White did as well. Keith McGuire has the rock again, made a man miss, shaking out of 1, maybe 2 tackles across the 25 down to the 27, where he's upended.
Tough 7 yards from McGuire.
We saw McGuire in a tight end capacity last season. That's, of course, because Malvern had O'Shawn Allison, so pretty darn good runner who went to Ohio University, of course. And so McGuire getting a chance to get some reps at a running position, may have some cramps there as he's getting stretched out on the far side. What do you like about him as a runner? Seems very patient, and especially in the game tonight, he's been able to bulldoze some people as well.
Well, I think when you look at McGuire in terms of his ability as a running back, I think the two biggest strengths for him are the patience and then the power. And they're not mutually exclusive. He can be patient and powerful on the same run at times. We've seen him be elusive at times. You know, what he may lack in pure breakaway speed, he makes up in being difficult to tackle and elusive at the point of attack.
6:33 to go in the third quarter, 28-19, Malvern Prep in front over Berks Catholic. It's been back and forth so far in this contest. It was 7-all after the first quarter, and Malvern took their first lead with 4:09 to go in the second, 14-13 at halftime, and we have seen 3 TD drives in a row up until the latest by Berks forced the punt, and Malvern will have a second down upcoming at some point after this stoppage.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it looked like it might be a cramp. We're hopeful that
we don't want to speculate, of course.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We did see the training staff over there trying to stretch him out. We do hope that, as you said, that it is just a cramp, but he has been down for quite some time now, and it is starting to become a bit of a concern.
A reminder that tonight's play of the game is sponsored by Stoll Agency. Stoll Bonds and Insurance specializes in the construction business industry. For all your bonding and construction needs, go to stollagency.com. So Malvern Prep has been able to get things done through the air and on the ground tonight. A nice mix, and that matchup on the outside done a good job of taking advantage of the speed as well. So the game plan, I think, has been executed. A little bit of a slow start, and that's something that, of course, we'll talk to Coach Guerrera about how he feels as they've gone off to a slow start each of the last couple of weeks. But they're ahead on the scoreboard, obviously, right now, and that's what you like to see.
And running a very balanced attack. The the passes have led to some quick strikes, but overall, in terms of just pure play calling, very balanced between the run and the pass.
Well, you had a 50-yard pass to Leach to set up the last touchdown. You had a 73-yard pass to Lonnie White. So when was the last time we saw a pass of 10 yards or less from Malvern Prep? I can look at the sheet here, but we're back underway, it looks like. Second down and short, 2nd and 4 for the Friars. Gunter's going to go short here. Aiiah, let's see if he can make some yards after the catch. Throws one man down, and he tries to jump out of another tackle. Does. Spins away from yet another across the 40 and outside the 45-yard line. A first down and more, and a late hit along the sideline for Malvern Prep.
Oh, Aiiah
That's what I'm assuming.
Aiiah turned what looked like to be about a 2 to 3 yard gain into about a 14 to 15 yard gain, and then we had some extracurriculars at the end. Unfortunately, our view is blocked by the tent on the Malvern Prep sideline, but the one thing that we do see is a lot of yellow laundry on the ground.
Well, we were talking about short pass completions, and hey, look, it looked like it was going to be 5 yards maybe, and then Aiiah just made 3 men miss with some outstanding individual efforts. We saw that with Leach earlier on his 50-yard pass and catch. As we'll get the call here.
Excellent stiff arm.
Personal
by
foul.
Aiiah.
That is the call. Had a couple of white shirts in the area as he went toward the sideline. Great job of keeping his feet inside the playing field as well.
And it's tough on a play like that, Kevin. You don't know if it was a late hit or some extracurriculars out of bounds by the defense, or if the defensive players fell out of bounds and someone on the sideline made contact. It's really difficult for the officials to stay on top of that in a situation like that. I'm glad to see that the officials got that one correct.
So they add 15 yards all the way to the 40 on top of that play to Aiiah. It was much like the first play of this game when the whistle wasn't blown and there was a late hit, quote unquote. Everyone says that bang, bang play. It's tough to react sometimes in certain situations. We'll see if Malvern can take advantage of this field position here off of the great play by Aiiah. Play action. And low pass. They were looking for Tyler Tinson, the junior out of Romansville, and it was forward, so nothing to worry about in terms of fumbles.
For number 2, Tyler Tinson is incomplete. Second and
interesting decision there by Gunter, because it looked like they faked the jet sweep to Tinson, and no one on the defense went with him. So Gunter took a look deep. There was nothing there and came right back to Tinson in the left flat with no one around him. They just couldn't connect.
We saw the teams trade scores to open up this third quarter. We've been scoreless since 8:31. 6:09 on the clock now. 28-19. Friars in front, looking to move to 4-0 on the young season. Play action. Pass down the middle. It's caught. It's Ryan McGuire, and he's got another Friar first down to the 16-yard line.
With one McGuire on the sideline, the other steps in and takes over. Great pitch and catch by Gunter and Ryan McGuire.
Gain of around 24-25, and Ryan McGuire already with a long touchdown tonight. Back underway is Nick Guerrera pounding up the middle, and he's spun down inside the 5-yard line by Nicholas Gonzalez. One of the longest runs of the night for Guerrera.
And that's going to bring up a first and goal situation for the Friars.
All the way down to the 7.
I'm thinking fade to McGuire.
And that's exactly what they're drawing up. McGuire! Incomplete, but he pulled that in. He pulled that in. It won't count. They'll say out of bounds.
Heck of a play.
Of course, McGuire, recipient of the top 10 against the Haverford School with an acrobatic catch. That would have been even better tonight.
He's unbelievable.
I almost couldn't believe that he caught it. I had to stop there. He pulled it in with one hand, but he was out of bounds, unfortunately.
And
nice play call, by the way. You knew that all the way.
Don't be surprised if they go right back to it. And I think Berks Catholic has sniffed that
They're
out.
not going to be surprised,
and
that's
they've
for
called
sure.
a timeout as well.
5:42 to play in the third, 28-19 Friars. Boy, the fact that did not count as a catch is a tough thing, but Clemson's got to be happy with what they're getting. I know he's going to play defense, and I know he likes playing defense a little more, but a heck of a offensive player, and that'll help with the interceptions. We've seen him take back 2 interceptions to the house this season.
Hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened. I mean, he may be going there to play linebacker, but you never know what's going to happen.
Happens all the time in college, yep.
2 or 3 years down the road, they may see something in him on the offensive side of the ball and say, you know what, we may be bringing you here as a linebacker, but you're going to play some tight end for us.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Another score in the Interact tonight, Kevin.
Penn Charter 42, Upper Dublin 17. And it's almost like at this point everybody says, Interact, what Interact? And then we usually wait until we get into the real quote-unquote postseason, which is league play. But the goal this year was to clean up that non-league schedule, and so far Malvern Prep has done that. Now, this is what might be their toughest test of the season, and we've still got a ways to go, so we'll see how they're able to cap this one off.
Oh, make no mistake about it. Berks Catholic is a very high-quality opponent, and we've seen it here tonight.
Second down and goal to go. From the 7, it's Keith McGuire again, this time on the ground. Flags as he's knocked out of bounds at the 5-yard line.
And they may get Ryan Aiiah for holding on the outside, and then they may get a late hit out of bounds on McGuire as well. Be interesting to see what happens here.
Anthony Myers, the sophomore, was in the area of that hit outside.
looks like multiple flags on the play.
That would, of course, offset the penalties. 5:33 left in the third. Our last touchdown was at the 8:31 mark of this quarter.
Oh, that's it? Just a little less than 3 minutes ago?
Well, I'm not sure what to expect at this point, Mike, because we had 3 back-to-back-to-back touchdowns, and then we've gone a little bit. So there's the hold.
Holding against Malvern.
Face mask
Okay.
on the defense. So
not a late hit out of
penalties.
bounds, but a face mask, and you're right, Kevin, they will offset.
So, goal to go from the 4.
Actually, wait a second. They may march off the first one and then go back half the distance for the second. Interesting.
Thank you for cleaning that up for me, Mike.
I
made a mess of that.
No, you didn't, because I was thinking the same thing. They were going to offset, and then I saw the official start to march it off and thought to myself, it makes sense because the second penalty was dead ball. Had they both been live action fouls, they would have offset. Why they called a face mask a dead ball foul, I'm not entirely sure, but they did.
So we've got the 8th play of the drive coming up that started with 6:56 to go in this third quarter. Gunter out of the spread, nobody in the backfield with him. He's going to throw quick to the right side. It's caught. Lonnie White making a man miss. He's walled off at the 2-yard line. Great defensive play by Brandon George for the Saints. They'll spot it at the 1. So it's 3rd down and goal to go from the 1-yard line.
And this is Malvern Prep's first 3rd down attempt of the second half. They're 1 for their last 4.
And Keith McGuire head down, bulldozing forward. Touchdown! Malvern Prep for 5. Second touchdown of the night on the ground for Keith McGuire. And the Friars move ahead 34-19.
That's obviously got to feel good for the Malvern Prep coaching staff to put together a long drive like that and grind some clock. Have it turn into 6 points at the end.
Sebastian Constantine holding.
Only took about 2 minutes off the clock. We saw a lot of penalties and incomplete passes on that drive. So it seemed like it should have taken longer as Boyle gets ready to accept the snap. Down, kick is up. And it's good.
Well, partner, at the rate we're going tonight, if a drive takes 2 minutes off the clock, that's a heck of a long drive.
Oh, you're right. We had a 12-second drive. We've had a 10-second drive, right? A lot of one-play drives, 2-play drives tonight.
Yeah, and I think even with a 16-point margin right now, this is not over by a long shot. Plenty of time left on the clock.
So McGuire, a 1-yard touchdown run, 9 plays, 79 yards in 2 minutes. At the 5-minute mark of the third quarter, it's now 35-19 Malvern Prep. And Keith McGuire with the last 2 touchdowns after a 5-yard run by Garcia. So we haven't seen the Berks offense in quite a while. It's a team that features 6 two-way players, Berks Catholic. Keith McGuire really showing out at the running back position this year, as he had accounted for 6 points against Roman, 14 against LaSalle, 6 against McDonough. Some of those coming by way of interception, but others coming on the ground.
And he is most definitely closing out his high school career as a senior with a bang, no question.
Again, got looks from teams like Ohio State and Alabama of national championship fame. That ultimately chose to go with Clemson, as Constantini will squib it again. It's bobbled and received at the 29 on the play by Riley Adams, the junior, for Berks. All right, I almost forgot what Berks looks like on offense. Oh, wait, that's right. They run the ball all the time. They average around 24 yards on the ground. So we can say that a lot of the guys have been well rested. George, of course, was out there at linebacker. We'll see what they have in store for us, as their last drive went 4 plays and out. They had to punt. And this time it's going to be a quarterback keeper, and maybe one. No, probably not. Michael Hussey stopped him. They give him the 31 on forward progress, so they will get 1 yard.
I mean, Dirk coming into the game tonight had 25 yards on 12 carries.
He doesn't run a lot.
No, he doesn't run a lot, and I don't think if you want to make up a 16-point deficit that's going to be the way to get it done, but we'll see if perhaps that was a broken play, or
He may have had the option there. Might have been a zone read a little bit.
maybe they're trying to set something up as well.
Clock churning now. Durr going again, and he hits the intended target, Luke Payton, and Payton is driven out of bounds.
Cade Zostic all over him as soon as he caught the ball.
On the tackle,
Something we've seen from Malvern. Their pass defense very stingy at the sticks, and they've set up another 3rd down. This one a little bit more to the liking of Berks, however. The majority of their 3rd downs offensively have been 3rd and 10 plus.
Another money down for Malvern Prep.
You've been keeping stats. What are we at now?
Berks Catholic so far tonight is 3 of 6. Malvern Prep also 3 of 6.
4:13 remaining in the 3rd. Malvern has built a lead because they've scored on back-to-back offensive drives. An option read looked like Durr spun and may have flew across the line as Keith McGuire hit him, and good enough for a fortunate 1st down for the Berks Catholic Saints to the 41.
And you mentioned it after the Durr carry on 1st down that they looked like they may have been setting up some option, and there it was.
So that's the first down for Berks in over 4 minutes. See if they can get something going. Got 3 first downs unofficially in this second half. Had 9 in the first. Jet sweep action. They will hand off to the receiver, Luis Garcia, who had the touchdown run earlier tonight. And he gets to the 44. Guerrero over there. Good job of manning the space.
Nice pursuit by Nick Guerrera, shutting that down for a gain of only about 3.
Gain of 3.
Second down and 7. Jackson Goffis, the 6'3", 265 junior coming in. Should be noted, Brandon George, the Pitt commit, middle linebacker and running back. He's 6'4", 240, so that's quite a weapon. And George, on the second play of this game, took it 78 yards to the end zone.
It's interesting.
McFloy will get the handoff this time. Outside left tackle, trying to get around Leach. He does, and then he's driven to the ground just shy of midfield. And once again, it was Cade Zostic who has made this right side his home.
I was about to say, prior to the snap, you mentioned his size, and it's interesting from our perspective here in the booth. As we look out on the field, they are directly in front of us. And when the 2 running backs, McFoy and George, line up right next to each other, if George is closest to us, we can't even see McFoy behind him.
McFoy, just 5'7", 165, the junior, transfer from Wilson. Again, running behind George, it's Durr. Durr's going to wind. He's going to fire. He has a target, Garcia. It is caught at the 20. Did he stay in bounds? I don't think he did. Berks thinks it's a touchdown, but the official is waving it dead. Boy, very fortunate are the Friars at the 18-yard line. "34-yard pitch and catch to Garcia, who got away from the defender on the far side, but the officials are saying he stepped out."
14-yard line.
And that is certainly a break for the Malvern Prep defense. Looks like we have a player down at midfield for Malvern. Can't quite make the number out.
2:15 to go in the third, 35-19. This broadcast of Malvern Prep football on SFBN brought to you by Granite Run Buick GMC in media. Got another player down. We've had a couple of cramping issues, it looks like, tonight. Boy, when you make a player like Leach miss, you've got quite a lot of skill. That's what happened a moment ago, and then they went deep, and it looked like Malvern was caught chasing a little bit there. And you saw that it was Joseph Carpenter, I believe, that was out there trying to make the play in the backfield. He is the player who is walking off there under his own power, thankfully. But
yeah,
again, that's the first time they got deep on Malvern, it looked like. And it was underthrown a little bit because otherwise it was a sure touchdown. Garcia had at least 10 yards of space on the defender.
Yeah, and it looked like as the ball was in the air, Leach had some position. I'm not sure what happened, if he lost it maybe in the lights or just kind of let it get away from him. Great catch by Garcia. Wrestled with Taiji a little bit. Thought he was going to go to the house. Luckily for Malvern, stepped on the sideline.
All right, they give it back to their pit commits. It's George piling forward into the line of blue and gain of maybe 5 into the 10-yard line of Malvern. Gotta love the body language for Malvern. They've got that 35-19 lead. They let up that big play, which would have been a touchdown, but they were clapping and they were cheering. They're getting right back on here. Didn't put their heads down, didn't get dejected. Malvern's been pretty good inside the red zone defensively this season. From the 10 on 2nd and 5. McFoy looking for some blockers. Taiji Leach gets through, has some help. Oh, he's got a lot of help. Great job by Harry Stinger there.
Yeah, you had Stinger, you had Hussey, and you had Taiji Leach, and looked like a bit of a rugby scrum was about to break out. They weren't letting him go anywhere.
That was almost the tackling dummy there as Leach got the first contact and Stinger just knocked him all the way back almost to the original line of scrimmage to set up a 3rd and 9. From the Malvern 13. Durr in the backfield, rolling to the right. He's going to throw that direction, and
Pass is complete.
Caught on the far side by Garcia. And it's good enough for a first down.
That is good for a
So it sets up first down and goal for Berks. Great play design on that bootleg, and they had the open receiver, Garcia. And this is interesting. We have not seen Berks go to the air and utilize that option a lot tonight. Maybe they start mixing those in as we get toward the end of this contest.
And Kevin, Berks Catholic has now converted 6 of their last 7 third downs.
From the 4. Well, I think everyone knew where it was going, and it's George. He's got himself his 2nd touchdown tonight. A 4-yard touchdown run from Brandon George, and that is his 4th of the season.
And that, as you said, my friend, was a bit of a no-brainer.
I mean, again, we'll mention the size, 6'4", 240, so why not? And now the Saints are down 10 points. They missed their last opportunity, so they've had some issues with the PATs. They had a bobbled extra point on the snap, didn't make that one. Last opportunity they had a penalty, so they had to back things up when they went for 2. Didn't get that as well. This time they'll pass, and Durr got away from the pressure, lofted it up, and it's intercepted. They were looking for their big man, Luke Payton. It was Michael Hussey who got in untouched. Couldn't make the play, but a good job by James Hayes to get the interception, and Cade Sostek as well.
Yeah, it looked like Hayes went up, came down with it, took a shot, both from the receiver and the ground, but he did intercept that pass, and as a result, the conversion no good. Malvern Prep still holding 10.
So we went back to the long drive again. 10 plays, 70 yards, almost a 5-minute drive, maybe about 4 minutes and 30 seconds, capped off by a 4-yard touchdown by George. 35-25 now.
You know, you and I joked earlier about how after every scoring play we looked up at the clock and it was virtually no time had run off the clock, and now as we look up at the clock again, we are under 30 seconds to play here in the third.
So that was the first score, the first points for Berks since 10:44 remaining in the third. Then back-to-back TD runs by Keith McGuire. Berks hanging in there tonight. Inside the 20, it is Fielding. On the far side, that's Zostic, I believe, and he's taking it out toward the 30-yard line where he runs into a couple of white bodies in the white jerseys.
Think they've learned their lesson about kicking deep to Lonnie White?
Possibly. That's been a little bit of a chess match in terms of special teams tonight. Malvern kicked it short, and Myers returned it 70 yards, and that led to the first points of this second half for Berks.
30-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Friars.
18 seconds left in the half here for Malvern Prep.
And Kevin, if I'm Coach Guerrera, I think I'm keeping this one on the ground, and I'll be content to pick up a nice chunk and go into the fourth quarter with the ball in the lead. But that's why I'm in the booth and he's on the field.
That's why we wait until the end of the play and then we make our statement. That's what most analysts do, right? And the handoff, as you said, going to Keith McGuire. No gain, back to the 30-yard line. Looks like Malvern will be content to let this thing churn and bring up the fourth quarter.
2nd and 9.
Because that's what analysts do, right?
35-25, Malvern Prep in front. They took the lead at the 4:09 mark of the second quarter, and so far they have not relinquished it. They're looking to move to 4-0 on the season. We'll have the fourth quarter coming up. You're watching Malvern Prep football on SFBN.
Welcome to Granite Run Buick GMC. Here's what some of our customers have to say.
There's more of a family atmosphere here. Thank you, Granite Run. Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
Thank you, Granite Run.
If you're in the market for a new car or truck, do what I did. Go see my friend Aiiah and his team at Granite Run Buick GMC. These guys are the best, and that's why we welcome you to Granite Run.
Visit us in person or online at GraniteRun.com.
Get back to playing some football here with the fourth quarter on tap. 12 minutes on the clock, 35-25 Malvern Prep and the Friars. The second down and 9. Aiiah's going to throw deep. It's caught inside the 35-yard line. Ryan McGuire with the reception. Great job by Aiiah, who has his first pass completion of the season. First guy not named Drew Gunter to throw a pass in 2018.
And Coach Guerrera digs into the bag of tricks. You want Friar?
Is this where you say you saw that coming?
I did not.
39-yard gain on that play. They go back to Aiiah. This time he's the recipient of the pass. Aiiah making a couple men miss. Oh, the ball is on the ground and scooped up, fortunately for Malvern, at the 16-yard line. Nice heads-up play by Lonnie White.
And what we saw there was Aiiah in space. And then Brandon George came from out of nowhere, and you've mentioned his size a couple of times tonight.
Have I?
6'4", 240, the pit commit, basically came from out of nowhere and ripped the ball out of Aiah's hands.
We have a flag on the field.
As you mentioned, fortunate that Lonnie White was able to make the recovery, and now we've got yellow hankies.
Is that unsportsmanlike? The officials tonight. Good opportunity to go over our officials this evening. Mike, once again.
Our referee is Bill McKeever. The umpire is Ernie Burrill. Head linesman is Tom Sinat. The linesman is Bill Pergini. Side judge Bob Frazier and field judge Anthony Bocachico.
And Coach Rick Keeley got the explanation. Maybe not the explanation he wanted, but delivered to him by the officials. So they will move Malvern up a little bit. 11:37 left in this game, 35-25. Friars trying to slam the door. They know they will continue to face a charge from the tough running attack of Berks and what has been a blossoming passing attack here late in this second half.
Partner, you did hit the nail right on the head with that one. That is after the play on sportsmanlike conduct, half the distance. Malvern now first and goal inside the 10.
Play action. Gunter off his back foot, throws to the back of the end zone. Touchdown! Ryan McGuire! 16-yard touchdown pass, the second touchdown for Ryan McGuire tonight. I don't know if that's the most fundamentally sound throw, but wow, it worked. It was well placed off the back foot by Drew Gunter.
Another throw where only the receiver could go up and get it, sort of back shoulder to the defender's blind spot, if you will. And we've talked before about how Ryan McGuire has been blossoming in the passing game for this Malvern Prep squad, and he went up, pulled that one down, and there's 6 more for the Friars.
All the opposing teams that come in over the last 2 years, they've been saying, oh, there's another McGuire, great. And the extra point is good for Costantini, who remains perfect in that department tonight.
And you just have to feel great for Ryan McGuire. You know, when we talked with Coach before the season started, you know, we were talking McGuire, and Coach actually stopped us and said, hey, wait a minute. There's another McGuire that you guys need to keep an eye on. Ryan McGuire, a junior, 6 foot, 160 pounds, you know, maybe a little bit of thunder and lightning in the McGuire household, if you will, but he has been nothing short of phenomenal tonight, Kevin.
The drive was 4 plays, 70 yards in 58 seconds, and Malvern back on the scoreboard again, 42-25 they lead. And Keith McGuire's given his brother a lot of credit. He said that he has been one of the main mentors and the guys that he's worked with. And it's nice. Not all brothers have a great relationship, but at this point they have said that they do everything together. They work out together, and great job for the McGuires from Newtown Square. So both McGuires with 2 touchdowns tonight. The McGuire show. Now, Drew Gunter's been pretty impressive as well with 3 touchdown passes, especially that one. Wow.
No question about it.
Point to return, Constantini.
The receivers have been doing a great job as well of getting position, too. As the squib kick employed yet again by Costantini, and it's bobbled and held on to by the receiver.
To be a fly on the wall at the McGuire's house for the post-game meal tonight.
That was Jaden Buxer, the 5'10 senior. And it's good to see some of these other players get into the end zone in terms of receivers, because, boy, does Malvern have quite a talented core, including players like D'Angelo Stocker, who did play early on in this contest.
Well, if you're, if you're Petty or you're, Haverford or another school coming up on Malvern's schedule and you're looking at film, who do you cover? Who do you guard?
Pass to the left side. And just short of the sticks. Zostic knocking Peyton out of bounds. And Petty, I had a chance to actually see them last week working their game. And I can't necessarily make a great determination because it was actually their first or second game of the season. But, boy, did they have they won handily. They were playing Wyoming Seminary, who was clearly not as good as them, and the coach decided to make it 8-minute quarters and running clock the whole second half. But they had, much like Malvern Prep, their early first game jitters, a number of fumbles. They lost their quarterback to Vanderbilt last season. He graduated. They had a number of seniors move on to play. I think at least 12 who signed collegiate offers. But still, as Coach Dave Guerrero said, they're run like a junior college program, so a lot of talent from that Petty squad. as the run will go off the left side, and they may have gotten it with George.
And certainly with 11 minutes to go here tonight, we don't want to look too far ahead, but
no, that's it until the end of the game. I will not talk about Petty again. There you go, Mike, making the promise.
Just cap that with, they did beat Malvern last year 43-36 in a shootout that is kind of reminiscent of what we're seeing here tonight.
And unfortunately, I was there for that too, and I say unfortunately because there was a muffed punt that ended the game. Malvern was going to get the ball back, a chance to score, and so that was more of Malvern beating Malvern. As McFoy, dancing around, somehow gets through 2 tacklers, and he's down at the 46-yard line. Very angry with himself, slamming the ball on the ground. He figured he should have taken it all the way.
Yeah, and I think maybe you and I should refocus here and make sure that we're not watching McFoy beating Malvern.
That's for sure, as McFoy came into this game with around 300 yards, as did George. He was the man who had taken most of the touchdown runs, McFoy, but George catching up to him. That's quite a potent attack between those two.
Yeah, in 4 games, I mean, well over a combined 600 yards between the two of them and 7 touchdowns coming in. We've seen them get on the board several times tonight as well.
10:16 to go in the game. Option pitch to George. George working on Dollar. He gets around the corner, a low hit, and a good job by Leach to go low on the big-bodied fullback inside the 40-yard line.
And Kevin, I don't have the official numbers in front of me, but that's got to be at least the 9th or 10th tackle by Taiji Leach tonight. He has been all over the field defensively for the Friars.
A lot of those have been because runs have gotten past the second level as well, and he has saved a number of long runs, so a lot of credit to Leach. And Dollar has gone down here. And a timeout with 9:41 to play.
Yeah, it looked like Nate was going to try to hobble off the field and wasn't moving very well, and the training staff told him just to go down.
This broadcast brought to you by Granite Run Buick GMC dealer in media. We've seen a number of hard hits, a number of great plays in this contest as well. If you had to go back, I guess I'm putting you on the spot here, but we're going to go with our All-American Sporting Goods hard hit of the game. I don't know if you can necessarily pick one. It's brought to you by All-American Sporting Goods, located at the corner of Cotman and Tabor in Northeast Philadelphia. Go there for all your sports equipment and apparel needs. For more information, call 215-342-6141. And now that I've gotten all that out of the way, I turn to you and give you the opportunity to let everyone know what the hard hit of the game is.
Well, I think you served it up to me on a silver platter, Kevin.
As Dollar comes off the field there.
I don't know that I can pick just one, but I will tell you that out of the 9 or 10 tackles that Taiji Leach has made tonight, at least 4 or 5 of them have been bone-crunching hits. So that's my guy, and let's keep an eye on him for the rest of the night.
Inside 10 minutes to go, 42-25, Malvern. Friars looking to move to 4-0 on the season. McFoy, he might have other plans as he dances inside the 30-yard line. He's tripped up on the far side. Demir Brown, one of the players involved, but another first down for Berks.
Nice pursuit by Demir to keep that to what it was. So I think if Demir doesn't get him around the knees, around the ankles, it could be another 10 to 15 yards.
7th play of the drive upcoming for Berks. Last couple of drives, TD drives we've seen, have been at least 4.5 to 5 minutes. A lot of clock churners after some quick strikes. McFoy on the inside handoff and wrapped up. Good form tackle on the play. Harry Stinger was over there, but it was Keith McGuire who did the job and made the stop after a gain of 1.
Yeah, another counter delay to the weak side, or short side of the field, if you will, and nice job of the Malvern Prep defense of staying home. The thing that I'm finding interesting, Kevin, is the last time that Berks Catholic had the ball, they marched right down the field, and they did it primarily through the air on the right arm of Durr. And now with the clock running at 8:30, 8:29, 8:28, they're keeping the ball on the ground.
Well, it's working at this point, so we'll see if they can get into the end zone, and they do go to the air. Going up deep, and
batted away.
Incomplete. Taiji Leach and Cade Zostic were over there for Malvern Prep. Good bat down there. Chance at interception, though. I think they wanted to throw to their 6'6", 6'7" target, and Peyton on the far side. Didn't work. 3rd down and 9 for Malvern Prep and their defense. We haven't seen a 3rd down in a little while for the Malvern D. Let's go back to that money down tracker.
Berks Catholic is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 9. 3 out of their last 4. This one, a key opportunity for Malvern Prep.
2 receivers to the right. It's like an option run. Durr will keep it. Late pitch. George has the handle on it. Stiff arm to the face of a defender. And out of bounds. Knocked out of bounds by Nick Guerrera and Leach. And that was good for first down. Wow, late pitch and very smart by Durr to find George there.
Durr took a shot on that play. But another first down on the ground for Berks Catholic.
4 first downs on this drive. Play number 10 upcoming as the clock stopped with the runner going out of bounds. 8:09 remaining in the 4th. Misdirection, it's McFoy, had a little window of space and used it wisely as he churned his way toward the 5-yard line.
We do have a loose helmet on the field. And it looks like Cade Zostic, and he's going to have to come off for a play.
Turley was over there. Nick Guerrera also for Malvern Prep. We've seen some good examples of what Coach Guerrera said. You got to stay with your keys because some of these runs have been very delayed in terms of when McFoy eventually does get the handoff. And when he does, boy, he bursts through in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, the entire Berks running attack tonight has been predicated on delays, misdirection, and the power of the big man.
They will pass. Nope. Dirt is going to keep it wisely so. And he'll take it down to the 6-yard line. Dowler with the stop. 3rd down and 1. So Berks can get the first down before a touchdown opportunity, if they so choose.
And Durr had big Brandon George in front of him there. It looked like he was just trying to pick up a block from Brandon George and get the first down. Great pursuit by the Malvern defense to stop him short.
1 interception thrown by Durr tonight. Well, a couple on 2-point conversion attempts, so 3, I guess. 7:01 and counting to go in the game. 42-25. Very important possession, very important play for Berks Catholic, and a very important 3rd down for the Malvern defense. Option pitch left side. McFoy, and he's barreled down. Taji Leach, the ball may have come out there.
McFoy on the carry.
And it looks like he's going to be short. Hard to tell from this angle.
I think he's short, and I don't necessarily think that he was down before the ball came out. I think he ran into a wall by the name of McGuire and Leach, but I don't know that that ball wasn't out before the referee blew him down. At any rate,
4th and short.
4th down.
Good job by Leach. And those two always seem to be everywhere they need to be on defense with those big plays. Keith McGuire and Taji Leach. Clemson and Lehigh, respectively, in terms of commits. Oh, here we go. We have an even more crucial play for Berks. They give it to George. George trying to find space. He does. Gets around the edge inside the 5. Boy, it seems to be pretty easy if you're the Berks Catholic coaching staff to just give it to that guy every time, who has 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. Opened the game with a 78-yard TD. So down to the 2. The longest drive play-wise tonight by anybody, coming up on the 13th play of the drive. But as you said, a lot of time has come off this clock.
Yeah, we are inside of 6 minutes now.
This drive has gone on for 6 minutes. Almost, as it is George, the back. And McFoy instead gets the handoff. He's not going anywhere. Back toward the 10-yard line. Nice pursuit. Hussey was in there, as was Leach and Stinger. That's a loss of 4 out to the 6-yard line. 5:34 and counting. That's what Berks fans might be saying. But again, that's your offense. You stick with it. It's what's been working.
Yeah, and I think that last play, Kevin, there was something that tipped Malvern off early because the entire coaching staff was jumping up and down on the sideline, and immediately the defensive line was in the backfield.
Handoff going to Garcia on the sweep. He'll fall forward to the 4-yard line. Turley and company bringing him down, and coming up out of the pile there is Nick Guerrera.
Nicholas Guerrera and Taji Leach.
So 3rd down and goal, 4:55 to go.
Doesn't seem to be much of a sense of urgency on the Berks Catholic side.
And they have not been able to stop Malvern. Malvern has scored on every drive in this second half. They led 14-13 at halftime, did the Friars. Play 15 of the drive coming up. Durr taking it himself. Zostic wrapping him up and Pyle driving him down.
Big tackle.
Big tackle, big loss. 4th down again.
On the play. Brings up 4th and goal.
Now this is interesting. They've been giving it to Georgia almost every time, but there's a decent amount to go here.
I mean, the ball looks like it's around the, I want to say the 7-yard line perhaps.
But my goodness, if you've turned around 6 minutes off the clock, 15 plus plays that this will be, you've got to come away with points if you're Berks here.
Berks 1 for 2 on 4th down tonight.
3 receivers here. Garcia in the slot. Durr looking left. He's going to throw, and it's a touchdown for the 6'6 target, Luke Payton, on the slant up the middle. Nice throw, too, by Durr.
Yeah, and it looked like Keith McGuire was sitting in the middle of the end zone. Durr kind of looked McGuire off to the right, came back to the left. Payton was wide open, and it was an easy grab and go for the big man.
Early movement on the right side of the line. Taji Leach, I believe, went a little bit early. Offside. 3:40 remaining, 42-31 right now. That drive was almost 6 minutes, 16 plays. And a great decision. At least it turned out that way for Durr and company. And Durr with his 4th touchdown pass of the season. The hold from Burke is down, the kick up. And it's good. 3:40 remaining in the 4th quarter. Back to a 10-point lead for Malvern Prep.
And I think the important thing there, Kevin, is it's a 2-score game. Just can't understand. Obviously, that drive ended in pay dirt for Berks Catholic, but I mentioned to you during the drive that there just didn't seem to be much of a sense of urgency there.
Not going up to the line fast.
Yeah, I mean, even the huddle just seemed to be very slow and deliberate, and certainly I can understand from the Berks Catholic coaching staff's perspective that they don't want to panic. They don't want to instill any panic in their team. But there does come a point in time when that clock starts running and you're under 6 minutes, under 5 minutes, and you know that you've got to get at least 3 scores to tie this game. You got to start to go to a little bit of a hurry up, and I feel like they played right into Malvern Prep's hands on that drive.
We're going to see an onside kick here. It certainly looks like it. From Jamin Smith.
The hands team out there for Malvern Prep.
One man back to receive. Short. Gets past Keith McGuire. And we'll wait for the call here. I'm not going to make a judgment.
I do believe Berks Catholic has it.
It is Berks Catholic football. Oh boy. Oh boy, McGuire on the ground. It got past him a little bit, and now the defense is going to be called upon. You did mention it is a 2-score game. They're up 10, 3:37 remaining. So no need to put your head down here. You still got control.
Interesting situation there, though, Kevin. Onside kick, and they kicked it right at McGuire, who is one of the most
short-handed. Yeah, when you say the hands team,
he's one of the most short-handed members of the Malvern Prep squad, and it looked like that ball, as many onside kicks do, kind of knuckled on him at the last minute, got up on his arm, just rolled off to the side just a bit, and it looked like he was getting ready to fall on it, and then all of a sudden there were 3 Berks Catholic players laying on top of him and the ball.
So executed part A of the plan there with the onside kick. Now they've got to score quickly. Durr making his way toward the sideline, gets out of bounds, ushered out by Hussey.
Terrence Dare on the carry. Michael Hussey
to the 44-yard line, and what we're seeing is Durr running a lot more than he has coming into this game, and it's been to Berks Catholic's benefit, actually. A lot more options for the Malvern defense to be looking at here.
Gain of 3, second.
So 3-yard gain, 3:30 to go. This was 7-all at halftime, 7-all after the first quarter, then 14-13 at halftime, and then after 3 it was 35-25 Malvern. Malvern took their first lead late in the second, and they've held the lead ever since. Timeout on the field.
And Kevin, I didn't see, looks like we have an injured Malvern Prep player on the far side.
It is Carpenter again.
What I was about to say was I didn't see the injured player over there. I didn't see who had requested the timeout, but it would not have surprised me at all if it had been a defensive timeout by Malvern Prep, just to kind of get their guys to settle down, reset. Okay, we didn't get that onside kick, but now we got to man up and keep these guys out of the end zone.
That was a well-placed onside kick, we should say, by Jamin Smith. Somehow got it right down the third baseline, if you will, and past Keith McGuire. But Berks has to take advantage, and Malvern has to make a stand defensively. They've got to be tired, though, the Malvern D, for sure. And of course, Malvern's got a lot of two-way players, but they just saw a 16-play drive by the Berks offense. Pass out of bounds, looking for Painter. He was out all the way, incomplete. Payton was shepherded by, once again, Michael Hussey, who's worked that side pretty well.
That's a great observation on your part, though. Just the fact that the Malvern Prep defense now has been on the field for the better part of 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes now, with the previous drive, the onside kick, and now right back out
Malvern
there.
offense was only on the field for 40 seconds in this fourth quarter. They scored at the 11:20 mark.
26 to go. Put that into perspective.
George with a handoff, and he's stopped by Nick Guerrera to the 41-yard line. He said, "You're not going anywhere." Got 5. George was starting to get excited. Saw the second level, but not going any farther. Fourth down now. Big tackle there by Guerrera. The fourth down conversions, though, have been falling here for Berks in this fourth quarter. Their last drive, they picked up a couple, including the touchdown.
Yeah, they are 2 for 3 on fourth down tonight.
Garcia a little late, getting to the right side of the formation. Play action, back to George, getting around a couple of players, spinning forward, and he got the first down. At least 2 tackles broken for the Pittsburgh commit, Brandon George, who has 2 touchdowns tonight.
Great individual effort by George there. From my perspective, it looked like he was stopped short at least twice. Just kept the legs churning, kept spinning, and picked it up by about a half a yard.
Durr back to pass, throws down the middle of the field, and tipped by Leach coming across the middle there.
Leach and Zostic. How many times have we called their names in the secondary tonight? Both of them real close to being in interception position.
I think the D-backs got to be feeling pretty good for Malvern Prep. They got beat one time by Garcia on what could have been a 70-plus yard touchdown, but he stepped out of bounds. Berks went on to score anyway later. That was in the third quarter. But other than that, Durr puts a lot of air on the ball, and if you can read very well, you can pick up another interception like Hayes did in the first half.
Well, you mentioned earlier that his delivery seems to be very long, very deliberate. And to that point, like you just said, if you can read it, you can get there.
Looks like he may come up throwing here again. We'll see. He wings it to the near side and incomplete.
Pass is incomplete.
That was Aiiah defending.
3rd and 10.
Money down time. Let all that sink in. 10-point lead for Malvern, 2:26 to go. Hey, it looks like Berks got the message. Starting to go to the air here. That sense of urgency certainly is there. After 2 incompletions, the Saints will go back to work.
And this is now their 13th third down of the night.
Screen pass to Cacchione, who had an interception earlier, and Malvern is not going to let him go any farther as Justin Roberts makes the play in the backfield all the way back to the 41.
Huge play for the Friars.
4th and 15.
So 4th and 15. I don't know if you can just hand the ball up to George and run for it. Nope. Durr's going to throw down the left side and incomplete. Looking for the big man Peyton, and there was no way he's going to catch that one. Turns it back over to Malvern with 1:52 to play.
Huge defensive stand for the Friars. Up until that point, Berks Catholic had converted on at least 8 of their last 10 third and fourth downs combined. But when it mattered the most, with 1:52 left on the clock, Berks Catholic turns it over on downs. Malvern Prep 1st and 10. Their own 41.
All right. Once again, we come back to the Malvern beating Malvern theme. Take care of the football here on offense. First time that they've seen the ball on offense since scoring at 11:20 on a 16-yard touchdown pass from Drew Gunter to Ryan McGuire. Keith McGuire's going to run it, and he's going to get at least 7 yards. They'll give him probably about 8 to the 48.
I think Drew had to stretch again before he went out there.
Drew Gunter with 3 touchdown passes.
And you see, at this point, Malvern just taking their time. Gunther's coming over himself to get the play from Coach Guerrera. They're going full huddle.
Oh, yeah.
Clock is running at 1:21.
And normally they give him the full audible control, the full control, but they're going to milk every second they can get off this clock here. Keith McGuire again running behind that line and running right into a tackle by Michael O'Neill.
On the carry.
Boy, Will Redden is such a force. He was expected to be a force on the line, the 6'6 junior. McGuire just had a hand on his back trying to feel his way through, but a good job by O'Neill to make the stop after a 2-yard gain.
3rd and 1.
3rd and 1 for the Friars. 58 seconds left. Berks going to take a timeout.
Friars are 3 of 6 on 3rd down this evening, and Kevin, I think one more will put it away for him, my friend.
The Saints have 1 remaining? Does that sound right?
They have 1 timeout remaining.
I know they used one when they went for a fade route with McGuire a couple of times earlier in the 3rd quarter. It might not matter much here, as you said, with 58 seconds left and 1 yard to go. We'll see what the play call is. It's always fun with these situations. Put your coaching hat on. What would you go with here?
It's a tough one because you don't want to put the ball on the ground and stop the clock at all with a pass. The bread and butter for me would be something to the outside to Aiiah, but given the situation, I think you got to be looking at either McGuire or Guerrera literally right up the middle.
Well, here's that formation we've seen on a couple of touchdown runs of the short variety. Guerrera to the left and McGuire to the right. Hand off to Keith McGuire. McGuire finding space. He's got a 1st down and more inside the 45-yard line. That'll give us a chance to talk about tonight's Stoll Agency Play of the Game. Stoll Bonds and Insurance specializes in the construction business industry for all your bonding and construction insurance needs. Go to stollagency.com. And there's a lot of plays. Are you going to give it to the same play that you would have said earlier? Or we've seen a lot more touchdowns happen in this second half. So I put it to you once again, Mike.
I'm riding the Ryan McGuire tonight.
Which one? 16-yard touchdown?
No, I think it's got to be the touchdown to the far back right corner of the end zone that we saw earlier, where essentially Drew Gunter put the ball where only Ryan could go get it. Back shoulder, blind spot on the defender. Ryan turns around, makes an outstanding catch. 6 points for Malvern Prep and kept the momentum rolling.
Well, the scoreboard's still counting down, but this one is, for all intents and purposes, over. 42-32. Malvern Prep remains undefeated on the season, undefeated in the non-league schedule. After going 1-4 in that department last year, the Friars, they're on point. 42-32, your final score as they take down Berks Catholic, one of the top-ranked teams in 4A. Have to make their trip back to Reading after a well-played football game, but Malvern, again, the stronger team. As we will eventually go through the scoring summary, but any early thoughts here after that one, Mike?
Great football game between two very impressive teams. I mean, Berks Catholic came in here and they were everything that was advertised. I mean, we knew that they were going to go with a lot of power running. We saw that. You know, we knew that there was some speed to their offense. We saw that as well. Defensively, I'm not quite sure that they were ready for what Malvern brought to the table. You know, they talked a lot about playing tougher competition and being the stronger, faster team. And tonight, I think they were outmatched by the Friars on both sides of the football.
So we'll run through the scoring summary here. We'll start with the first quarter. 2 plays in, 78-yard touchdown run by George, the strong fullback, to make it 7-0. And then that was at the 11:06 mark. At the 5:21 mark of the first quarter, a 59-yard touchdown pass from Gunter to McGuire. It was the only play of the drive, and it tied us up at 7-all. And we knew then that this game was going to be, as you said, as advertised.
And Gunter to McGuire is going to be a recurring theme over the
Which McGuire, right?
The course of your scoring summary here.
Well, then we get to Berks Catholic, a man named Abdul McFoy, the young junior. 20-yard touchdown run, and that was at the 7:07 mark of the quarter, 13-7, after the kick was no good. Bobbled snap on the extra point.
McFoy was really impressive tonight. Great speed.
And then back to the ground again. But all of the ground touchdowns for Malvern have been the gritty, down and dirty, 5 yards or less variety. After a 8-play drive, Malvern put it in the end zone for their first lead with 4:09 to go. Nick Guerrera, a 1-yard touchdown run. The extra point good, made it 14-13 at halftime. And, well, I don't know if we expected what we saw, the fireworks, to open up the third quarter.
No, certainly not. I mean, as I look at the scoreboard now, and you mentioned that it was 14-13 at half, that third quarter must have been real exciting.
All right, well, we'll run through it here. Auctioneer style, I guess. 1 play, 73 yards. Gunter to Lonnie White, 11:42. And then
sold.
3 plays, 5 yards. A touchdown run from Garcia, set up by a 70-yard kick return for Berks. Let me know when we're good, Steve. Apparently we're good. We're back, 42-32. Final score, Malvern Prep with the victory. They move to 4-0 on the season with a matchup against the Petty School right here at Quigley Field, coming up at 7 o'clock on the 28th. Last season, 43-36 loss to Petty. Certainly different teams this time around. We're awaiting a possible post-game interview with Coach Dave Guerrera, the victorious head coach. But we knew that this team in Berks Catholic, coming out of Reading, was averaging 224 yards on the ground per game, and they did a wonderful job of mixing things up as well. And Malvern Prep, maybe a little shaky at first. We saw another slow start. We saw a drop snap from Gunter, who was able to fall on it, thankfully. And then, boy, the fireworks came out. And this guy who's playing for his college future, he had quite a game in Drew Gunter and had some help from his receiver weapons.
No, he absolutely did. No question about it. I mean, between Aiiah, McGuire, Leach, you know, you even saw Tyler Tinson getting involved into the offense a little bit. I mean, a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of good distribution, and, you know, quick strike offense. And the one thing that they're going to have to clean up next week against Petty is just those early jitters, because if
we've seen that every game.
Yeah, if they fall behind to Petty, and you mentioned Petty's basically a JUCO program.
That's what Coach said.
The comeback is going to be a little more difficult.
Now, our interview is actually going to be with Ryan McGuire, who is our player of the game. One of the McGuires who scored 2 touchdowns had to be the player of the game. Coach Dave Guerrera said, you know what, I'm done talking to you guys here. Talk to Ryan McGuire, and we'll give him some credit. The junior who has been with his brother Keith the last couple of years and played a little bit as a sophomore, again as a wide receiver. And great job tonight, finally getting into the end zone this season at least. He did it with the short plays. He did it with crisp route running on a fade to the back of the end zone as well.
Well, and I had mentioned to you earlier that I'd like to be a fly on the wall at the post-game meal in the McGuire house. Well, guess what? Ryan is getting the post-game interview, and this is going to make for great dinner time conversation.
Our Chris Markowitz is standing by now with Ryan McGuire. Chris, take it away.
Ryan McGuire. Ryan, tonight you scored 2 touchdowns, and as a team, you exploded for 42 points against a very good Berks squad. What was for you guys offensively that allowed you to have such a great game?
I mean, this is probably our first game all season where our offense really took control of the game and completely took over. It's mainly been our defense, so we all knew what we were capable of ever since June when football first started, and tonight we were just able to show it on all facets, running, blocking up front. The guys did awesome. Drew threw perfect balls, so without any of that, none of this would have happened.
And looking at your schedule coming into this year, non-conference games look to be pretty tough, but you're off to a 4-0 start. How confident are you guys as you look at the rest of your season?
I mean, we came in last year. We started off our off-season record 1-4, so we came in with a lot of unfinished business for our off-season games, and we are just looking forward to come out stronger and better versus more games, and we're looking good going in season games.
Ryan, congrats on the win. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Back to you guys, Kevin.
All right, thanks, Chris. Final score, 42-32. Malvern Prep, 4-0. You gave your final thoughts, so I'm just going to ask you one more time. Any extra final thoughts to add, Mike? I want to make sure you said your piece.
And I appreciate that, but I mean, I think you and I have covered it pretty extensively. I mean, great offensive display by the Prep tonight, and certainly the defense came up big when they needed it. Coming up next week, Petty here at Quigley Field, 7 o'clock Friday night. A tough contest against, a team that beat Malvern last year by 7. You mentioned earlier a tough ending to the game. After that, it's at Penn Charter, Episcopal Academy, at Haverford School, Germantown Academy, and at SCH Academy. It doesn't get any easier for the Friars, but they will walk out of here tonight on the victorious side of the ledger.
Undefeated still. Malvern Prep 2-4-0 and Berks Catholic 2-3-2. Well, for our crew chief tonight, Josh Bellman, our assistant crew chiefs, Sean Kelly and Steve Silvestro, our sideline reporter, Chris Markowitz, broadcast partner, Mike Mataraki. I'm Kevin Fodinger saying so long. Congratulations to the Malvern Prep Friars, and enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on the 28th against Petty.